What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. What up, though, YouTube? This is True Crime with Tom. Welcome back. This is the Jarvis Butts preliminary hearing, day 4 as a rewatch. Good morning, Galatians. How you doing? Let me go ahead and get everything set up. Be right back. Give me 1 minute. I'm getting everything set up, guys. Bear with me. I'm also going to wait for some more folks to arrive in. All right, so I'm about to go ahead and get started. I'll see you, Galatians. Good morning to you. Happy Thursday. So this is going to be a pretty long one. This is about 5.5 hours. We're going to be here for a while.
Streaming, you must exit the courtroom if you are a witness on this case, and that goes for everyone in the courtroom as well. If you plan or you are told that you may testify, you are to exit the courtroom now. And that's, of course, with the exception of the officer in charge.
Thank you, Judge. And just on that point as well, I did notice when I came into the courtroom this morning that former DPS officer Derek Wolf, who is now working at 36, was in the courtroom. He stated he would not be in the courtroom, but just because we'll be facing this way, you can keep, or your staff can keep an eye on that. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think he's fully aware, just so that the court is aware of that as well.
Okay, I did see him, and he's no longer in here.
And he's not in
So I can see the door, so I will make sure that he's not.
Thank you, Judge. And then the second preliminary matter is that the people would move to admit people's proposed Exhibit 61, which is the subscriber information for the phone number ending in 8719 that Sergeant O'Rourke testified to, as well as the underlying raw data that she testified to as well. And it is certified under 8036 and 90211.
The trial starts February 23rd.
No objection.
Okay. That's Exhibit 61, correct?
That's correct, Judge. Thank
Okay,
you.
it will be admitted.
Thank you. And with that, people are ready to call the first witness.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, we would call Detective Lisa Johnson.
Come on. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record?
Good morning, Detective Lisa Johnson,
And how are you employed?
Detroit Police Department,
And how long have you been employed by the Detroit Police Department?
26 years.
And are you assigned to a specific unit or division?
Right now, homicide cold case.
Detective Johnson, can you pull that microphone down? Okay, everyone can hear. Thank you.
And were you working back in February of 2024 in homicide cold case?
Yes,
And did you get the chance to assist in the investigation of, at that time, missing Messiah Harris?
I did.
And I want to take you to the location of 20,000 Harper. Okay. Did your assisting in the investigation take you to that location?
Yes.
And what is that location?
Park Crest Hotel.
Good morning, Gigi.
And do you recall when about you went there?
Sometime in February.
Okay, and it's in 2004, 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you went there, what is it that you did?
We spoke to the clerk that was on duty at the time, and we requested the ledger for January.
And did you receive anything from the ledger from January?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and what is it that you received?
There was a sign-in sheet filled out by Mr. Butts.
Okay, and did you take a copy of that signing sheet?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach with People's Proposed Exhibit 19?
Yes.
Thank you. Handing you what's marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 19. Can you tell me, you recognize what it is I just handed you?
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the receipt that you received from the Park Creston as it relates to Mr. Butts?
Yes, it is.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 19.
No objection.
Okay, we'll be admitted as People's 19.
Thank you, Judge. And looking at that receipt, who is it that checked out a room?
Jarvis R. Butts.
And is there a address associated with that?
Yes, there is.
Without reading the numbers of the address, what street is that on?
Wilshire Drive.
What the hell happened? This is not my video, guys. So hold on 1 second.
Is just specific to the device information. So in other sections of the phone extraction, there would be other information.
Contacts that the person entered into the phone or
Yes,
communicated with.
yes, that would just be a different.
So I had to rewind it back to where it cut off at because I don't know what happened to that testimony.
You know,
Yes, in the second column, there it says user ID,
and just read those numbers for the record.
262854051.
And just in general, the preliminary device reports are some contacts that was in the phone listed as well. Maybe not in all of them, but just that happened in some.
So who's on the stand is Detective Sarah Markell. The last witness, Detective Lisa Johnson, for some reason, the video cut short on her testimony. But basically, what she was there to was testified to was that she was the one who found the actual ledger at the Park Rest Inn and found out that he checked out a room at the time he checked in and checked out. They cut her testimony short on this video. I don't know why this is not my footage, though. I apologize, guys.
Not in the preliminary device report is just specific to the device information. So in other sections of the phone extraction, there would be other information.
Contacts that the person entered into the phone or communicated
Yes,
with.
yes, that would just be in different areas, not in the preliminary device information.
Matter of fact, let me just do this. This is Queen Keith. This is a rewatch. The trial is February 23rd, 2026. Everybody, this is a rewatch, by the way. Good morning, Loretta. Happy Thursday to you. Welcome in.
Yes.
Anytime, no problem.
And just a couple questions based on your experience performing phone extractions. Is it possible to recover things that have been deleted from it? And is that a guarantee that you're always going to get all of the deleted content from a phone?
No,
Can you just talk about that very briefly?
so there's any number of variables that could impact the ability to get deleted information. So it could be make, model of the phone, the software version of the phone, whether or not that phone is supported on the equipment used, a number of different things, if we have the passcode or not. And the possibilities are long.
And does someone going into their phone and actually deleting like a text message or photo affect whether it's going to be recovered?
Yes, it can.
I mean,
Where after?
so what it looked like I'm gonna have to do is because of the way the video and the audio is displaying right now, and they're skipping over testimonies, I might just want to do a transcript reading for the detective's testimonies later on or something like that. Because Detective Lisa Johnson, I already know her testimony, but they cut her testimony short in the video. And then we have now on the stand who is Detective Sarah Markell. I can barely understand what she's really saying because of the audio is kind of choppy. So I might just read hers later on as well too. The next person that's on the list is someone as a forensic, the pathologist, Dr. Omar Reyes. His testimony is going to be quite clear as well. So let me see what timestamp his is. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do those. Just read them later on and something like that. I don't want to read them in the middle of the video.
If someone deletes like a text message, for example, where would that go into the phone? Where it may or may not still be able to be recovered.
So it depends again on what the make and model of the phone is.
Good morning,
and what
hey
the
Princess.
version
Happy
is.
Thursday to you.
Because the phones change all the time with different updates, it could be in different places.
Good morning, Lance.
Usually we go into like an unallocated space or to the trash can where the user can't see it, but it could still be in that trash can or in the deleted files on the phone that the user doesn't necessarily see, but would still be available possibly through the trash.
And is that a guarantee that if they're there, they'll be recovered, or is that trash can or unallocated space overwritten as time goes on?
It can't, so there are no guarantees. It can be overwritten. It may not be an area that, it may not be a device that's supported to attempt to recover deleted. So it could be there are never any guarantees with it. There's a lot of variables that would play into the abilities.
Thank you. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, Rob.
Good morning, Detective Markell. Now, you say that at the time you were assigned to phone extraction.
Correct.
Have you been reassigned since then?
Yes.
Okay, where are you currently assigned?
The 3rd precinct.
Any particular division?
The investigative, the precinct detective.
Okay. So on this particular case, your
One
job
second,
was
we're going to have to-
strictly phone extraction.
Correct.
You did no investigation on this case, correct?
Correct.
I think you testified on the record that you received several phones. Do you know how many phones you received in this case?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Did anyone in particular order you to do the extraction of the phone?
Well, that was, at that time, my only, position at homicide. So to order me or to just do?
In this particular case, did the OIC say here, these phones are a particular possible evidence in this case? So were there an order to extract the evidence in this phone in this case?
I guess I'm not sure what you mean by order. Like, did somebody order, like, verbally tell me to do something, or are you?
So you weren't directed to search these phones? You were just your overall duties, you just searched the phones?
Well, I do the extraction, the data extraction on the phone.
Okay. Were you told a particular suspect to look out for on this case?
No, I don't have information on the case. I do the extractions and then return the reports to the officer in charge or the or that team that is working on this.
Okay. So you extracted all the information from the phone, and I think you've already testified, you used Cellbrite to download the information?
Yes, Cellbrite was Cellbrite was the main tool that was used.
And I think you already testified that there are times that you don't get all the information.
Correct.
It may not be a complete download.
Correct.
You may get pieces, but other parts we just don't have. Correct.
Yes, that is always possible.
Yeah, you really can't even see because of the angle of the camera that they got it fixated, which is terrible, Virgo. But this is Detective Sarah Markell who's on the stand. And it's kind of hard to understand her testimony. That's why I said I think I want to go back later on and read her testimony because with the transcript, because hers and Detective Lisa Johnson's was cut short. From what I read from Lisa Johnson, I already know what she did, but not a lot of people know or heard her testimony because, of course, it was cut short in the video.
You turned over all the reports, correct? And I think you testified that for the phone number ending 8719, you downloaded the information from that. Did you get a passcode for that?
If I could see the supplement that I did for that, I think that would be nice.
Madam Clerk, Your Honor?
Yes.
On the 8719, there was a passcode provided.
So you did not have to, like, proper term, break into the phone.
Correct,
The passcode was provided.
yes,
Where'd you get the passcode from?
from the officer in charge when the phone was dropped.
And then you testified that you found a couple of emails, correct? And that phone,
Yeah,
email accounts.
in that device, in the preliminary device information, it gives that basic information about the accounts or Apple ID.
It doesn't give you information on who was using the phone. I mean, using those email addresses, correct?
Correct,
So there's no way of knowing
Good morning, LeBron's.
who used those accounts, correct?
correct.
And of course, there is no way to know who was using the phone when the data was created in the phone, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
So this particular witness, she pretty much helped out with the forensic expert or the forensic data on the cell phone with the cell phone distractions is what I mean. That's all she's testifying to. But I really couldn't hear about what she was saying.
44, your next witness, I want to check on. Okay.
All right, hold on, guys. I'm gonna fast forward to the next witness.
Michigan versus Anthony Renee McSwain, charged with count one weapon. This year. Just waiting on that.
This video is horrible.
Anatomic, clinical, and
Good morning, guys. Happy Thursday to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You say tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
How you doing?
Okay, watch yourself, come into the witness box. Are you ready to submit?
Thank you, Judge. You state your name for the record,
My name is Omar Reyes.
and what do you do for a living, sir?
I am currently the interim deputy chief medical examiner for Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office.
And how long have you worked at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office?
About 6 years.
And what is your role at that office?
I perform autopsies to determine the cause and manner of death.
And do you have a certain education that allows you to do that job?
Yes,
And can you tell us about that education?
I'm a physician by occupation and forensic pathology by specialty. I attended medical school at Damascus University in Syria.
So this is the medical examiner who can pretty much attest to the evidence that how someone was unalived, but they were trying to contest that he can't make that assumption without a body is what they were arguing during his testimony.
After that, I moved to the US where I did my residency training in anatomic and clinical pathology at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Following that, I did a fellowship in forensic pathology at the Medical College of Wisconsin and passed the
Good morning, Don.
board
Happy
examination
Thursday to you.
in anatomic, clinical, and forensic pathology.
And is that two separate board certifications?
Yes.
And can you just separate those out?
Yes, so I passed the board examination for anatomic and clinical pathology and the board examination for forensic pathology. So I'm certified in both.
And then is that while you were working at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office?
No, before.
Okay, and then you started working there?
Yes,
And for the last 6 years, has it been your primary role or one of your main roles is to perform autopsies?
yes,
And are you currently practiced or licensed to practice medicine in the state of Michigan?
yes,
And have you testified as an expert in this field before?
yes,
Judge, at this time, I would move to qualify Dr. Reyes as an expert in forensic, anatomical, and clinical pathology.
Your Honor, I'm actually going to object. I don't see the relevance of Dr. Reyes' testimony in this matter. We haven't heard anything that he's performed an autopsy. That would be the matter of his expertise.
Judge, I believe that as an offer of proof, Dr. Reyes is going to testify to a review of Messiah's medical records that he was provided and his opinion as to those records. I can ask him if record review is something that he does as part of his job on a regular basis.
If you could,
Doctor, in terms of performing autopsies and coming to your conclusions as to cause and manner, do you regularly review medical records associated with the decedent?
yes, I do.
And is that something that can inform your opinion as to a cause and manner of death?
Yes,
And do you rely on those records in various cases?
yes,
And were you asked to review medical records in this case?
yes,
You did not perform an autopsy in this case, though,
No.
correct? I would renew my qualification for Dr. Reyes, Judge.
I would be curious to know what was the date on the medical records that he reviewed for any relevance of the medical records to this matter.
well, I think it is relevant because we provide offer proof as to why the witness is on stand regarding medical records.
I guess I can object when we get to that.
Right, we
Understood.
object or on cross. So yes,
Thank you, Judge. And Judge, at this time, too, and I should have done this before I called him, I would move to admit people's proposed 18, which are the medical records from July 2014 to October of 2023 for Neziah Harris.
And at this time, I'm going to object to the admission of these records as irrelevant. They're through October 2023. The date of disappearance of Neziah Harris was January 2024. That's a 4-month period. I don't see how these are relevant to what might have happened in those 4 months. Certainly not relevant to what may have happened on January the 9th.
And Judge, I think the defense's objection as to relevancy goes to the weight that this court can give those or not give those records, not the admissibility of those records, because while it doesn't encompass straight up to the January 9th, it does encompass a several-year period for her where, as again, an offer of proof, the doctor is going to say there was nothing life-threatening that he saw in these records.
I would agree. Overall,
Okay, so that's why he's pretty much there. He's going to pretty much attest to the medical records for Neziah that there was nothing medically wrong with her up until that particular time of January 9th of 2024.
so I would admit that's People's Exhibit 18.
18, Judge, thank you. And may I approach her?
Yes.
Approaching with what's now been admitted People's 18. Doctor, do you recognize that document?
yes, I do.
And are those the records that you reviewed to come to a conclusion in this case as to the review of those records?
Yes,
And did you ultimately write a report as to your conclusions on your review of those records?
yes,
May I approach her?
Yes.
I'm approaching with what's been marked as People's Proposed 42. Do you recognize that document that I handed you, Proposed 42, Doctor?
Yes,
And is that your report that you wrote after you reviewed the records in Exhibit 18?
yes.
What's the exhibit number on that document?
Exhibit 42.
And at this time, Judge, I would move to admit People's Proposed 42.
And I'm objecting to this, Your Honor, specifically to the last paragraph in this letter. It assumes facts, not in evidence, where it says the cause of death remains unknown. There's not evidence of a death at this point. In terms of MRE 703, I don't believe that they'd be admissible pursuant to any expert testimony, because expert testimony has to rely on facts in our data and evidence, and we don't have that. It's not, as far as I understand, Dr. Ray's job to declare death, and we don't have a declaration of death. We see no government, paperwork from any government agency making that declaration.
And Judge, I don't think that's required for the doctor to opine as to his opinions as to the medical records that he reviewed in this case. His qualifications allow him to do that. Those medical records are what he's talking about. Those medical records are admitted into evidence at this point, and the underlying data that he relied on is there. So that does comport with MRE 703 related to expert witnesses and opinions.
And of course, it's a little difficult because I don't see Exhibit 42, what the contents are. You're just speaking to the last paragraph?
The last paragraph, which assumes the fact that I don't believe it's been placed in evidence and is beyond the ken of Dr. Ray's expertise in this matter.
It mentions the cause of
Yep,
death.
that was confirmed. Such a Virgo
It
one.
says that the cause of death remains unknown, which, Judge, obviously, Ms. Quake is getting to one of the main issues in this case and one of the big questions in this case that I anticipate is going to be a defense argument. And we will have that argument at some point, but for the purposes of this testimony, the data that Dr. Ray has relied on is in evidence. And certainly this court can take that document in the proposed exhibit for what it says and give it the appropriate weight.
I will give it the appropriate weight. We all know that that's one of the big issues here in this case. So I will admit it with your objection of it.
Thank you, Judge.
That'll be Exhibit 42.
Thank you, Judge. And Doctor, were you requested to do this medical record review by a certain agency?
Yes,
And who requested that?
Wayne County Prosecutor Office.
Okay, and after you reviewed those records, you wrote that report. Can you read the last paragraph of that report?
Yes. The last paragraph states, as we do not have Nazaya's body available for examination, the cause of death remains unknown. Her medical history reveals no life-threatening conditions, and her vaccinations were up to date.
And based on the records that you reviewed in that time period, did you see anything in there that would have caused Nazaya to die naturally?
No.
I have nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
I just have one, I just want to make sure I have the dates correct. You stated the medical records are from January 14th, 2023.
January 2014 to October of 23.
It's July 2014.
July 2013, I'm sorry. It is contained in that exhibit.
Okay, can you just publish it?
Permission to publish. Very much, Doctor.
Thank you. Trust?
Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Good morning, Dr. Reyes.
Good morning.
So just to be clear, you are not Ms. Harris's treating physician.
No,
So you don't have any knowledge, no personal knowledge of Ms. Harris?
No.
Or any medical issues that she may or may not have had?
No.
Your role in this case was only to review medical records that were supplied to you?
correct,
Your actual job is to perform autopsies, correct?
correct,
Also, and an autopsy is examining a person who is deceased, right?
yes,
And determining a manner or cause of death.
yes,
You can also interpret toxicology
correct,
and lab results,
yes.
that kind of thing. Is it your job to declare somebody as deceased? Typically,
Typically, I am the pronouncing doctor when we respond to a death on a scene.
okay. So if you were to go and view something yourself
Yes,
and have personal knowledge of the circumstances surrounding the incident.
correct,
So if you don't have a body, you can't really opine as to whether a person is in fact fair to say.
So I
Correct.
can't
Okay.
grab it.
No, you test
Really see the comments. I wonder in that July visit, was it determined she was pregnant then or not? Good question. I mean, 2023. Yeah, she went to the doctor in July of 2023 is what they confirmed.
testified that you wrote a letter to the prosecutor in this case.
yes.
And in that letter, well, what did you review in preparation of writing that letter?
I view medical records that were provided by the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office.
And those are just the medical records that that you have been referring to.
Yes,
And is that all that you have reviewed?
yes,
Do you have any other personal knowledge of the circumstances of this case?
no.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Nothing, Judge, thank you.
Okay. You're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I can't even get my Virgo, such a Virgo. We don't know that that she actually went. I do apologize, but I'm trying to multitask. Carla Henry, good morning.
At this time, people would call Rion Green. Oh, before we do that, Judge. You just step up. Judge, if I may just very briefly move for the admission of people's proposed exhibits 41, 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56, which are MSP records 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, and 10 under MCL 76611B.
And for purposes of exam, we have no objection.
It will be admitted.
Thank you. And at this time,
I'm
sorry,
sorry, I just want to repeat, 41, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56.
correct.
Okay.
And then at this time, we would call Rion Green.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. You swear to tell the truth, no truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Watch your steps. Also, you can pull that whole microphone off the ledge. when you testify so we can hear you better.
Okay.
May I proceed, Judge?
Yes.
Could you state your name for the record?
My name is Rian, is my first name, Green is my last name.
And what do you do for a living, Ms. Green?
I am a forensic scientist with the Michigan State Police.
How long have you been a forensic scientist with the Michigan State Police?
I've been a forensic scientist for almost 4 years now.
4 years?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any, first, what is your primary role in, what division do you work in within the Michigan State Police Lab?
I'm in the forensic laboratory and I am in the biology unit, also known as BFI, which is body fluid identification.
And is that what you've done for the 4 years that you've been at MSP?
No, I've actually been at MSP longer than the 4 years. I'm sorry, it's been almost 4 years.
Okay.
But I've been with MSP for a little over 15 years now.
You've been in the lab for the last 4 years, or almost 4 years.
Correct.
Okay. And while your time in the lab, has that been spent on body fluid identification?
Correct.
And do you have any training or education that allows you to do that role in body fluid identification?
Yes, well, my education, I have a bachelor's in chemistry from Tennessee State University. And my training, I went through a body fluid identification scientist training, which included practice samples, mock samples, casework observations, lots of literature to read.
And how long, in terms of hours, was that training? Or how many training hours do you have in total for this body fluid identification job?
All right.
If you know.
I'm not sure of the hours, but the training was from
Appreciate that, guys. Make
June
sure y'all hit the
of
like button.
21 to September of 22.
Okay, so quite a long training.
Yes,
And did you successfully complete that training?
yes.
And do you go through a recertification or retraining every year on an annual basis?
Not necessarily retraining, but we do have proficiency tests that we do. We have 2 a year that we do, and they are yearly and they are mandatory.
And have you successfully completed all of those proficiency tests?
Yes, sir.
And are you currently working in the body fluid identification field?
Yes.
And how many different cases have you worked on to identify different body fluids that were submitted from law enforcement agencies in the almost 4 years you've worked there?
I don't have an exact number, but at least 100.
Okay.
I can say that.
At this time, Judge, I would move to qualify, or have you testified as an expert previously?
Yes.
And both in Wayne County and outside of Wayne County?
Just Wayne County.
Just Wayne County?
Yes.
At this time, Judge, I would move to qualify Ms. Green as an expert in the field of body fluid identification.
Any objection?
I would just ask how many times she testified previously
Previously as a scientist, 2.
as an expert?
Yes.
How many?
2.
Two. Okay.
Yes.
No objection.
Okay.
Thank you. And first, can you describe what is meant by body fluid identification in general terms?
So body fluid identification is the examining evidence items for the possible presence of body fluids such as blood, semen, or saliva.
And do you use different tests to identify, let's talk about blood primarily.
Mhm.
Is there a test that you used in this case to identify or determine if blood is possibly present on a piece of evidence that was submitted?
Yes.
And what is that test, and talk a little bit about it, please, or different tests?
So we can use different tests for blood in this instance. Primarily, there's a test called phenolphthalein. I can spell it if you need me to.
Please.
Okay. PHENOLPHTHALEIN. And we refer to it in the lab as pheno for short, if that's easier. But that is essentially a 2-step test that we use. It's a color change test to where if there is a possible presence of blood, it will turn a pink color. If there is not, or it's like an undetectable amount, it will not change color, basically.
And is there another test that you use specifically for blood?
We also have what we call hemosticks available, which are essentially strips, little plastic strips with a pad on the end that is also a color change test, but it's simpler to use. You touch it to a cutting of your evidence and it'll turn blue or it will not turn blue. And there's also
Good morning, Sandy.
trace
Happy
test
Thursday.
that we test for the presence of human blood.
Okay, and did you utilize those 3 tests that you talked about in this case?
Yes.
And in terms of the pheno test, can you just describe how that process works, what you actually have to do to utilize that test?
Yes, so again, it's a 2-step test where you have the pheno solution and you have hydrogen peroxide, which is the 2 components used. It's a 1-for-1, 1 drop, and you drop those onto the substrate, which is typically a cutting of a swab, or that's typically what it is, a cutting of a swab. You drop the 1, you drop the 2, and then it'll change to the pink color, or it will not. If it changes to the pink, we refer to that as a positive.
Okay, and that's for the presence of, or possible presence of
Possible
blood.
presence of blood, yes.
And then jumping forward a little bit, you described to determine whether there was human blood or not human blood.
Mhm.
We call that the hematrace, I believe.
Correct.
What's the process for that?
So the hematrace involves actually a small extraction of a cutting of a particular stain up in this. For example, a particular stain, you extract it in a buffer solution that comes in the hematrace kit for a set amount of time. And once that is extracted, you spin it down, you take the liquid, you draw the liquid off with a pipette, and there's a cartridge test. And it's similar, we read it similar to like a COVID test, where a set number of lines, like if the test line appears, then it's positive. If not, then it's negative.
May I approach Judge?
Yes.
Good morning, Michelle. Happy Thursday.
We're approaching with what's already been admitted as People's 41. And Ms. Green, do you recognize the document I just handed you?
Yes,
And is that a report that you authored that was relevant in this case?
yes.
And first, what record number are you looking at there in your report?
This is record 7.
And what is the lab number associated with that?
MD 24-691.
And permission to publish exhibit 41.
Yes.
And on the screen there, are you able to see that from your seat?
Yes,
And is that the same document that you're holding in your hand that's on the screen?
that is the same document, yes.
Okay. And just talking about the information on the top of that document right now, what goes in where under laboratory report? What is entered into that portion of the document?
So under the laboratory report section, we have the number, the investigating officer for the case, and their agency number, the record number, date received, time received, and the date completed.
And moving down to evidence reviewed, can you talk about what is listed in that section of these reports?
The evidence received section?
Yeah.
Yes. So these are the containers that I received under this record number for this submission.
And when you say container, what do you mean by that?
The container numbers on the left side there, can you hear me okay when I turn this way? Okay.
Yeah.
The container numbers on the left are the container numbers that are
Hold on, let
given
me
to the
pause.
item when it's submitted into our laboratory.
Do a freeze frame real quick. See what we got. So item number 5 was the black hoodie. Item number 6 was the pink bodysuit. Item number 7 was the ID card. Item number 8 was the trunk door handle swabs. Trunk door handle. Oh, it's from his vehicle. I'm assuming that's from his vehicle. Item number 9 was trunk speaker swabs. So yeah, driver trunk speaker swabs. trunk door frame swabs, and a folding knife. So those were the items that she tested. Good morning, Kim Cole. Happy Thursday. Good morning, no new friends. Happy Thursday.
And are those numbers, the container numbers, assigned by the law enforcement agency that submitted it or by the MSP lab yourself?
The container numbers are assigned by us, and when it's entered into our system, it gives it a sequential number.
And in terms of the agency number, though, is that also included in the evidence review?
The agency number is what the item numbers that the agency gives in their internal system, but we include it in our description.
And for container number 5, first, what was in container number 5?
Container number 5 is the black hoodie.
And
That's what I said too.
and what agency
Folding knife.
number was included for that submission?
Number 85.
And then
I put a question mark behind that one too. So what they came back, well, what it says so far at the bottom is that the black hoodie was negative for acid phosphate. Is that what, am I pronouncing it? That's a fluid test for semen. Are they going? I think they're going to show the rest of it though.
Container number 6. What was in container number 6? The physical piece of evidence
Was a pink bodysuit.
And what agency number was that associated with from Detroit Police Department?
Number 86.
Okay. And we're going to talk mainly about those two, but I do want to go through your interpretations. First, can we talk about what goes into the interpretation?
And that's why I'm doing this too, Lonnie. I'm glad you made that comment. I haven't heard her testimony. Not everybody has heard everyone's testimony in this preliminary, so it may be new to some people. Like Detective Markel, I didn't even know. I couldn't even hear anything she had to say, so I'm going to read her transcript later on a little bit.
Section of your report.
So in the interpretation section, this is where we report out our results for our body fluid testing.
Okay, and you talked about blood.
Mhm.
Did you do a blood test on the first item that we're looking at here, the black hoodie?
Yes,
And did you also test for semen as well?
yes.
And starting with the test for semen, what is that test called?
The test that I did was the acid phosphatase test.
And was there any, what was the result of that test?
It was negative.
Did not indicate the presence of semen on that black hoodie?
Correct.
And then moving down now to your next test here, what was the result? First, what was the next test that you did for?
The next test after this one that I did would be the phenol test. The way that it's listed here is not necessarily the order of the testing that I did. Is how, for some reason, that's how our reports generate the report. So, but the next test I would have done on this would have been the phenol or phenolphthalein test.
And is that a blood, you described that as a blood test, correct?
Yes, presumptive blood test.
And for the pheno test, what was your result of that test?
So there were areas that were not phenopositive and there were areas that were phenopositive.
And can you talk about that a little bit more?
Wow. So for the hoodie that they found, it was negative for semen, but there were some positive areas for blood, and there were some areas that were not for blood, or they didn't test for blood. So it was some blood on the hoodie, is what she's saying.
When you say areas that were positive and not positive.
Sure. So I selected several areas on the entire surface of the hoodie, from the hood all the way to the sleeves, front and back, to test for the possible presence of blood. And I tested numerous stains. Not all of those stains were positive, meaning they didn't all exhibit a color change.
But
Yes.
some of them did.
Some of them did.
If you know how many did and how many didn't.
I
Or
wouldn't know.
With looking at photos of that, be able to help you answer that question.
Looking at photos, yes, it was a lot.
Okay, we will come back to that.
Okay.
Going down to after the pheno test, what was the next test that you did?
On the hoodie, it would actually be, yes,
Let's just go down the list of the
Okay.
tests, if that's okay,
Yep.
as they're listed on here. So after the acid phosphate test, what's the next one there?
the next one will be the hemotrace test, which I did on the stains that were pheno positive. I decided to follow those up with hemotrace to test for the possible presence of human blood.
Okay. And pheno test
So she followed up with another test and determined whether or not it was animal or human.
doesn't differentiate between human and animal blood, correct?
No.
That's what the hemotrace is for.
The hemotrace will tell us, yes.
All right. And what was the result of the hemotrace test on the areas that were positive on the pheno test?
So I tested 5 areas with hemotrace, 5 of the phenopositive stains. And 3 of the stains on this hoodie were hemotrace positive.
Now, the next listed one is the hemosticks test, correct?
Mhm.
And what was that test for? What was the reason you administered that test?
I did that one on the stains that were not as obvious. Sometimes you might get a weak phenopos, which is basically a very faint pink. And to kind of supplement the positive result to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing, I followed up with the hemosticks because sometimes it's easier to see. The hemosticks has a yellow pad and it changes to like a deep blue when you apply the sample to it. So
And
that's why I
so,
followed up.
as it's listed here, the hemosticks test was positive, correct?
For the ones that I tested, yes.
For the ones that you tested,
Mhm.
which, to be clear for the record, was not all of them.
Correct.
And you said that you tested the weak positives from the pheno?
Yes.
And did you only test weak positives from the pheno test?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, yes.
Now, going down to the next page on record number 7 here, there's a line there at the top of the page. Can you read that line and tell us what it means? Or the paragraph at the top there?
Where it starts indicated?
Yeah.
Okay. So indicated the presence of human blood. Additional areas on this item were tested that did not indicate the presence of blood and or human blood. Additional areas on this item were tested that indicated the possible presence of blood.
And what does that mean and why did you include that in the report? Or why is that included in the report?
That sums up the results from page 1 for the hemotrace, hemosticks, and pheno. The first sentence indicated the presence of human blood applies to the hemotrace positive. Additional areas on this item were tested that did not indicate the presence of blood and or human blood. That was for the hemotrace, the ones that were not positive with hemotrace. Additional areas on this item were tested that indicated the possible presence of blood were for the pheno tested stains.
And in terms of after you conducted your test on the black hoodie or your tests on the black hoodie, did you do anything to preserve more swabs for further testing by a DNA analysis?
After I did my testing, I went back and I selected 2 stains to send forward to DNA. So I swabbed those areas with 2 sterile swabs and cut those. Once they were dry, you have to wet the swab first. Of course, swab the stain, let it dry, and then the swabs were cut and tubed and sent forward to our DNA lab.
And what was the reason you didn't use the same swabs that you had already taken and tested with the pheno and hemosticks and hemotrace?
So with the hoodie swabs that I sent forward, there was enough of the stain there to where I wasn't concerned really with total consumption of that stain. So I didn't use the tested swab. I used fresh swabs to swab that stain.
And after you send those forward for analysis by another technician, are those individual swabs that you send forward given an identifying number to keep track of them in your chain of custody system?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach, Judge?
Yes.
I'm approaching with what's already been admitted as record number, or as admitted as 25, which is record number 8, testified to by Erica Anderson. Just looking at that report, Ms. Green, are your swabs that you sent forward listed on record number 8?
Yes, they are.
Just as it relates to item number or container number 5.
Yes.
And can you read the agent or the container number associated with the swabs you sent forward for item number 5 off of record number 8?
Okay, the container number or the item number?
Both.
Okay, the item number on here for item 5 would be MD 24-691-5 capital A lower D. Another set of swabs sent forward is MD 24-691-5 capital B lower D. And MD 24-691-5 capital C lower D.
And the first two ending in AD and BD are listed as black hoodie stain swabs, correct?
Correct.
And then CD is listed as a black hoodie swab.
Correct.
And what's the difference between those two things where you have stain swab and then just swab?
The AD and BD that are referred to as black hoodie stain swabs were swabs of the actual staining that I tested in that test, the pheno test and hemotrace. The 5 CD, which just says black hoodie swabs, are for wearer ID. That would be swabbing with 2 sterile wet swabs, the neck area, anywhere that would contact where the wearer of the potential wearer of the garment may have contacted, like the neck or sleeve cuffs. Yeah.
And those are the swab, so just swab that you sent forward was to identify who was likely wearing that sweater, correct?
Correct.
And then the stain swabs, were those swabs from areas that were tested positive for the pheno test and the hemotrace test?
Correct.
Oh. Now, going back to the exhibit that's on the screen, you did a test for a pink bodysuit as well, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell us the first test that's listed in your report and what that means?
The first test for the pink bodysuit, item 6, is acid phosphatase again.
And that's for semen, correct?
Correct.
And what was the result of that test?
Negative.
And then going down to the next test, I believe it's the pheno test.
Mhm.
What was the result of the pheno test on the pink bodysuit?
There were areas that were negative for pheno, and then there was an area that was positive.
Okay. And did you do any further testing on the area that was positive?
This one, I did not do any further testing on the positive area. I just swabbed that and I sent that forward.
And what was the reason you didn't go further into the hemotrace or hemostix test?
Because it was such a small area, I was worried about sample consumption in my testing. And so I just in this case, I did send the tested swab as well as an additional sterile swab of that same area to DNA.
And just to get that out of the way, are those listed on record number 8 that you have as well?
So for the pink bodysuit, negative for semen, positive for human blood. That's the first item she's reading off, guys.
Yes, they are.
And which ones are listed there?
The pink bodysuit stain swabs will be MD 24-691-6 capital A lower D. And the pink bodysuit swabs will be MD 24-691-6 capital B lower D.
And those were sent forward for further analysis by someone else, correct?
Correct.
Going back, the regular swab, not the stain swab for item or container 6 that you sent forward, that was the same thing as the wearer ID that you talked about earlier?
For the wearer ID, it was the same process as the hoodie. I used 2 sterile swabs, swabbed the neck area. And because it was like a sleeveless item, I swabbed around where the arms would be in constant contact and the ankle cuffs. I think I said all the neck area as well, the collar area.
So they tested so far the bodysuit, the ID. They confirmed it was blood on both of those items, human blood on both of those items. Negative for semen on both of those items so far. Good morning, Karen Martin. Happy Thursday to you.
And going down a little bit more quickly to item 7 now. First, what was that item that you processed?
Item 7 was a blood card that was submitted as a reference sample for Naziah Harris.
Okay, and what did you do with that swab in terms of passing it, or sending it forward for further testing?
So no testing was done on this as it is a known sample. It was a blood card, so I cut a portion of one of the blood circles on there and sent it forward to DNA.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
And may I approach that to retrieve those exhibits?
Yes.
And in terms of those two items, the pink bodysuit and the black hoodie, did you take photos of your testing as it proceeded?
Yes,
And did you provide those to the OIC of this case as well as the prosecutor's office? Or were they provided?
they were provided, not by me.
Okay. And referencing the pink bodysuit specifically, the photos you took, do those fairly and accurately depict what you were doing and what you saw as your testing proceeded?
Yes, I take pictures before, as I receive the item fresh out of the package, I lay it out to get a full picture of the item. And I take photos after I mark it up with like my testing results and, at the end.
And
Good
that's
morning,
all
Chandra.
PowerPoint,
Happy Thursday.
correct?
Correct.
And that PowerPoint would fairly and accurately depict your observations as you move forward in testing.
Yes.
I would, at this time, move to admit people's proposed 64, the PowerPoint for the pink bodysuit,
No objection. It'll be a minute. People 64.
and permission to publish.
Yes.
Yeah. And just on the first slide here, first photo, is this just a cover sheet for the item that you did?
Yes.
Going to the second slide or second photo, can you just tell us what we're looking at here on this slide?
What do y'all,
So
let me
this slide in particular,
pause real quick. What do y'all think? Was that Shannon's or Nazaya's? I don't think that was Nazaya's jumpsuit.
I take pictures of the front and back of the exterior. If it's a clothing item, front and back of the exterior. And in this case, front and back of the interior, which is on a further slide. But this here at the top left picture is the front exterior as if it was worn. So that would be, if you were looking at the person wearing it, that would be the front. And the bottom right picture is a close-up of the top half.
And if we could go to slide 10. And we're looking at the 10th slide, starting with the top left. Can you tell us what we're looking at there and what is listed underneath that top left photo?
The top left is the front exterior again, as if worn, and this was after testing, after pheno testing. And the one on the bottom right is a closer look at the top portion, I guess from like shoulder to torso of the garment.
And you have some words inputted on the top right indicating that there was pheno negative testing on this portion of it.
Yes, that was the key to, so when the viewers such as yourself would look at this photo and see the pH-N, that's our way of saying this was a negative stain and keeping track of the stains that I did test. So the pH-N means phenoneg.
Okay. And can we go to slide 20? Sorry, one back. And I want to focus on the bottom right photo here. What are we looking at in the bottom right of the 19th slide in the PowerPoint?
The bottom right photo is where the positive pheno stain was located. This would be the interior back portion of the item. So like inside here, I don't know if you can see, but like it will be interior inside I flipped it inside out to test those stains.
Okay, so what we're looking at here in the bottom right, that's inside out. So that's why we can see what would be the tag.
The tag, correct, yes.
And now could we go to slide 20? And this says on here pH-POS. Does that stand for positive?
Positive, yes.
Okay. And so that area on the inside of if it was inside out, that area tested positive for the
Correct.
possible presence of blood.
Correct.
And did you do the same sort of PowerPoint for the black hoodie that we tested, or that we talked about earlier as well?
Yes, I did.
And do those pictures that you took, were they put into a PowerPoint similar to this one?
Yes,
And do those pictures in the PowerPoint fairly and accurately depict your observations as your testing move forward of the black hoodie?
yes.
Move to admit.
That's a good point too, guys. But it seems like
People
it's
propose 44.
that
so we got a
particular
little bit.
item has been planted because I don't see any cuts, stab wounds, rips, tears, or anything to the jumpsuit, and they're only finding bloods on particular spots of the bodysuit. So that don't tell me that it tells me that it was planted by somebody.
No objection. It'll be admitted.
And permission to publish.
Yes.
And if it was blood on the inside of the bodysuit in the back area, it would be like a rip to that suit, or a cut or something like that, or a tear or something, which it was not.
And looking at the first slide of 44 that's on the screen, can you tell us this is just the same cover page?
Correct.
And going to the second slide here, what are we looking at here in this photo?
This will be the front of the black hoodie if worn.
And this is before, is this before any testing had been done?
Yes.
I want to go forward to slide 7. And what are we looking at here on slide 7 of this PowerPoint exhibit?
This is the hood area of the external portion, the external hood portion of the hoodie. I was trying to get accurate angles. That's why so many pictures, but
Okay. And is this again just standard overview before any testing had been done?
yes.
And if we can go to slide 8. And what are we looking at here?
This is the interior portion that would be in contact. Like if you pulled the hood over your head, it would be the area up here.
So you're looking at the inside of the hood that would
Interior.
touch the person's head that wore it.
Yes. Yep.
And slide 9. What in this photo are we looking here, and has any testing been done at this point?
This is after testing. This is back to the front of the hoodie, plus obviously the sleeves. This is after ALS screening, which is alternate light source, which is used for screening for body fluids such as semen and saliva. I ALS the hoodie, and I marked those areas that had a fluorescence to them with a silver Sharpie, so I could further test after done screening. And IR, which is the infrared, is similar to, it's also an alternate light source, but it's more so for blood on dark items where the dark fabric would become lighter, and if there's blood or possible blood present, it would appear darker. That anything that I saw, I marked with a yellow paint pen with IR next to it, so I can distinguish between the ALS samples, the ALS areas that I saw and the IR areas that I saw.
Okay, and we see a lot of markings on the front of this hoodie.
Yes.
Are you able to tell us, and I know you said the color, but what portion of this is the IR versus the ALS? It may be easier for you to step down a little bit.
So the ones that I observed with IR, I actually wrote IR next to them. I don't know if that's visible on there, given how small the picture is, but other photos, I took pictures of
Closer
certain
up.
areas. Yeah.
And if we could just go to the next, or if you could zoom in. And so, for example, that on the front, as we're looking at it, left side of the zipper, that's where IR illuminated?
Correct. Where there's like where the icon, the hand, oh, it moved. Right there, and there's an arrow pointing to that large area. Like those were areas that dropped out under IR, so I put IR next to it, so I'll know what to follow up and how to follow up.
And that IR is to indicate blood, correct? It's not a test for blood, but it's
a screening tool used to locate dark stains that may be possible blood.
okay. And if we could go to slide 20. And this is a closer view. Is this after you've done any other testing other than the light screenings?
Yes.
Okay, and what testing was done at this point based on this photo?
This is after the pheno testing was done. This particular picture is reflecting a phenopositive area. And it was also screened with IR. As you can see right over the swabs there, it says IR. And that's what led me to follow up with pheno, was because I saw it under IR and it was phenopositive.
And where is this, if you're able to say, on that hoodie?
So this would be, if I was wearing it, it would be in this area, the upper shoulder,
And for the
bicep area. Yes.
For the record, the witness indicated to her right upper shoulder. Yep, right.
Now the holes in the hoodie, we know those look like stab wounds to the hood, and they did find blood in that particular area as well, to the right shoulder is what they just said.
You said shoulder. Are you saying that this picture was taken from the right shoulder area of the hoodie?
Correct. Like I had to move the sleeve a little bit to get it in the picture with the ruler and the swabs. And it's like this area here.
Okay.
I call it the shoulder area.
Next slide. We're going to look at slide 21. And again, can you tell us what we're looking at here? Then I'm going to ask you a couple follow-up questions.
So this is another phenopositive stain. This one is located on the rear of the sweatshirt, on the bottom right exterior of the sweatshirt.
And you had, in the last photo that we looked at, it said stain 20, and then this one says stain 28 in the text area of the slide. What is it? How do those stain numbers get assigned?
That is for my purposes, so I can keep track of how many stains I tested and what stains I tested. I know if I give it a number, it's just I start from number one and I just go. It's a tracking system for me, so I won't double test the stain, and because we report out the number of stains tested in our system, so that's for me to keep track of how many stains I tested.
And if you know, how many stains were identified on the black hoodie?
I can't recall offhand.
And going to slide 22. And what are we looking at here for this photo?
Those are the cartridges used in the HemaTrace test. As you can see, you read them per line. The first two only have the one line, that's the control line, which because there's no visible line in the testing area, it is a negative result. And the third through fifth cartridge have the double line, so those are considered positive results.
And that's for stains, the stain numbers are listed there, correct?
Correct.
And that's stain 20, 28, and 38 that were positive on the HemaTrace test?
Yes.
Going to slide 20.
Yeah, Karen Martin. So jury selection starts February 23rd, and there's the final pretrial hearing on the 23rd of this month.
And what are we looking at here in this photo? And at what point in your testing was this photo taken?
This was after pheno testing and the AP testing, which was the semen testing. And I put the key there because these are for the results that I wrote on the sweatshirt. So my tech reviewer and whoever's reviewing the photo would know what those meant when they saw them on the sweatshirt.
And you would agree with me that the majority of this sweatshirt is covered in your markings, correct?
Yes.
And going to slide 32 now. what are we looking at here in this photo in the 32nd slide?
This is the exterior of the hood towards the back of the hood. If you were wearing it, it would be like the back right of the hood.
And what testing is indicated on the back of the hood?
This was viewed with IR, and it was screened with IR first, and then I followed up with pheno testing in this instance.
And what was the result of your pheno testing on this area of the sweater?
So stain 37, which is at where the tip of the ruler is at the bottom, that was a very weak positive for pheno, and 36, which is upper towards my typing there, that was also a pheno weak positive.
And did you do any further testing with this section of the hood because of the weak positive? If you remember.
I don't recall offhand.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that you sent new swabs or went back and took new swabs to send forward for DNA analysis, correct?
Correct.
Do you remember what stain swabs numbers you sent forward for that analysis?
On this one, it was stain 20, which was the shoulder stain, and stain 28, which was the one in the rear of the sweatshirt.
May I have one moment?
Yes.
Is there both of those stains 20 and 28 that you sent forward were phenopositive and hemotrace positive, correct?
Correct.
There was a third one, I think it was 38, that was also hemotrace positive and phenopositive.
Yes.
What's the reason you only sent 2 of those 3 forward?
I sent one from a representative area, which was the one from here and the one in the back. The other one, is available to be tested in the future if necessary, but I selected 2 of the stronger phenopositive stains, and they were hemotrace positive stains. I sent those 2 because they were from 2 different areas on the sweatshirt.
Okay. And
Before you move on, you said here, for the record, can you indicate where
Oh.
she was pointing to?
yeah, for the record, the witness indicated towards her right shoulder, and then the other area was from the back.
Rear. I can
Right.
stand if you need.
No, I just want the record.
Okay.
From the lower back right.
Yes.
In terms of the testing that you did and your experience testing and doing blood screening and things like that, are you able to talk about the quantity of results that you saw on this sweater at all? In terms of there being 38 swabs, at least 38 swabs, is that normal in your experience that there'd be that much on there, or are you able to talk about that?
I'm not able to say because it varies from case to case.
Fair enough. And do you still have record number 8 up there? Or did I take it?
No, you took it back.
You indicated earlier that the 2 stain swabs that were sent forward were from stains 20 and 28, correct?
Correct.
And then going forward, they were labeled as ending in 5AD and 5BD.
Correct.
Are you able to tell which stain number corresponds to 5AD?
I would not be able to tell without looking at my notes.
With looking at your notes, refresh your memory?
Yes.
Then please do so and then look back up at me when you're done.
Guys, what y'all think happened to this hoodie though? Like them, because when I first saw it, hold on, let me pause it real quick. When I first saw it, I thought the worst. When I saw like all 3 stab wounds to the hood, the top of the hood, and that's actually where they found some blood positive samples as well too. But I don't think that was staged. That's what the first one was.
Is your memory refreshed?
Yes,
What stain swab number that you gave it is 580?
5AD will be stain 20, which was the shoulder area stain.
And then 5BD would be 28,
Correct,
and that's the back right, lower back right side?
correct.
I have nothing further, Chris. Thank you.
Who's handling this witness, Mr. Riggins, or one moment off the record? Crawford? How you handle both in custody? We don't do this dismissal. Okay. I want to handle a quick dismissal, just so that she can go right downstairs. No, I do. And we drain and counsel.
Yeah, I believe so. It was.
Can you get drained? Attorney drain? Okay. So we don't need this. I do. Okay. And now this one. And Mr. Mahana, good morning. This is the Helen Park case. You have a witness? It's your witness that you were waiting for, right?
Hold on, I'm gonna fast forward all of this stuff because we're gonna cut this down a little bit.
Case 24604, excuse me, wrong case number. 2459617, the people of said Michigan versus Jarvis Butts. People just completed direct examination on the screen. And you can begin your cross. You're ready then.
Good afternoon, Ms. Green.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to start just by going over some of the things I think you testified to make sure that I'm clear on them.
Okay.
And so we'll start with the black hoodie because that's where we started, I think, on direct. You tested a number of spots on the black hoodie. Well, I guess you started with the IR, you said, right? To determine if any of the spots you could see were potentially blood.
Potentially, yes.
Some of those spots could have been something like dirt, mud, anything.
Cameraman is terrible.
It's possible.
Could have created a color of a spot on the shirt or the hoodie, fair to say?
Fair to say. Yes.
Okay. And so once you marked all of the spots that tested presumptively positive under, well, I guess you started with the ALS, that was your screening.
Correct.
Right, and then you went from there to the IR.
Correct.
And then from there you went to the phenolphthalein.
Correct.
Okay. And so of all the spots that you tested, there were 3 that were positive for blood, you said, correct?
On the black hoodie.
On the black hoodie.
There were multiple that tested positive, but I focused on the ones that had a stronger pheno positive were the ones that I focused on.
Okay, and you said you didn't do any confirmatory testing on the ones that tested weak, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you said of all of those, you sent 2 for testing for DNA.
Yes.
Okay. And then moving on to the pink jumpsuit, again, you tested a number of spots on the jumpsuit for phenolphthalein,
Correct.
for blood, presence of blood, correct?
Possible presence, yes.
And it, based on my review of the pictures, it looks like there was at least 10 spots that you tested. Is that fair to say?
There was at least 10 on the pink jumpsuit, yes.
I think I saw a number like 16, and I don't know if that's where it ended but that seems fair, between 10 and 20 maybe.
Possibly more, but yes.
Okay.
At least.
And was there only one spot on the jumpsuit that tested, that you confirmed for blood?
Well, it wasn't, it was tested with pheno, which is the possible presence of
I think
blood.
so too,
didn't do
Virgo.
the
Virgo
heme trace to confirm that it was human blood because of the limited amount of sample. But yes, it was the one
There
spot.
was one.
Yes,
And it was a small enough stain that you were concerned of that you would consume it if you tried to do any additional testing.
yes,
Okay, and that's we're talking about, just for clarification, the spot on the actual jumpsuit, right? The spot that you were swabbing was small.
I won't be
Correct.
able to answer that kind of question.
And you don't know
I
what
don't want to give
all
you
the
no wrong
other
answer.
areas on the jumpsuit were that you tested that had different colors on them,
as far as what they were,
what the substance was.
no, I couldn't tell.
You were also given a number of other samples of things to test. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think you tested some trunk carpet,
Yes,
and you tested that for with phenolphthalein, correct?
correct.
And that was negative.
Yes,
You tested a driver's floor mat
yes,
from a vehicle.
yes,
You tested that for presence of blood
yes,
using the phenolphthalein,
correct,
and that was negative.
correct.
You tested a driver's seat, cutting from a
She's only reiterating what the prosecution has already asked, guys, about on this cross, by the way, if you're listening to her questions. That's all the witness is saying is correct. She's just reiterating what she already said.
driver's seat.
Yes,
And that's also from a vehicle, presumably.
yes,
Okay. That was also negative.
It will be kind of hard to refute DNA evidence. So that's why she's pretty much just reiterating what was already said.
correct.
And then there's a sample that was taken from, it says trunk trim. Did you swab the trim yourself, or was it a swab that was given to you to test? Do you recall?
I did receive a large plastic piece from a trunk trim that I did test, yes.
Okay. And so you tested that also for phenolphthalein, or with phenolphthalein
With
for the
it,
presence
yes.
of blood. Sorry.
Correct,
And that tested negative.
correct.
Okay. So of all the things that you tested from, do you know if they were all from the same vehicle?
I received parts from what was labeled on the packages from 2 different vehicles on different submissions.
Okay. Do you know what type of vehicles they were?
One was listed on the submission form as a Cadillac Escalade, and there was another one, it was a vehicle, a Nissan Sentra, if I'm recalling correctly.
Okay.
Oh, that's Latricia car. So they did test her junk. I wonder what those results was. See, I just assumed that
And
when
so
we read
on
off the items
separate
on that
vehicle,
list,
you were given
it
some.
was talking about Jarvis vehicle. They
Looks like
said, because I can't hear 2 people talk at the same time. When I read off the items on the list, I thought those was Jarvis items, but it was both his and the baby mama's, Latricia's. Because remember, he borrowed her car on that night, the 9th.
You were given actual door handles to swab. Does that seem correct?
I didn't receive any door handles. I received swabs of
Of a door
certain
handle.
parts of vehicles, yes.
Okay, and that was from a vehicle.
Yes,
Okay, and you tested that for blood, correct?
correct,
And you used the phenolphthalein test,
correct,
and also it looks like you did the hemostix test on that,
correct.
and both were negative.
Both were negative, yes.
Okay. You were also given some swabs from a trunk speaker,
Yes,
and you did the same 2 tests on that, correct?
yes,
And those were also negative for blood.
yes.
And then
We
it
go
looks
back
like you
real
had
quick.
another trunk door.
I got to rewind it because I want to make sure I heard what I heard.
Correct.
Just completed direct examination.
To confirm that it was human blood because of the limited amount of sample. But yes, it was the one
There
spot.
was one.
Yes,
And it was a small enough stain that you were concerned of that you would consume it if you tried to do any additional testing.
yes,
Okay, and we're talking about, just for clarification, the spot on the actual jumpsuit, right? The spot that you were swabbing was small.
correct.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause it and I'm gonna grab a few comments because when she started talking to this part, I really gotta listen. I can't really grab any comments because I want to capture what was said the second time. So let me grab these comments right now. Such a Virgo 1 says, wow. Karen Martin says, I think Latricia knows more than what she's is saying. Interesting, Karen. See, this is why it's important, because you definitely miss things. Absolutely, Virgo 1. I'm a magazine. Welcome in. Happy Thursday to you. Everyone, please, hit the like button if you can. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks for the support.
And you don't know what,
When they put that list of items, what was tested, it was no name on it.
but all the other areas on the jumpsuit were that you tested that had different colors on them,
As far as what they were,
what the substance was.
no, I couldn't tell.
You were also given a number of other samples of things to test. Is that correct?
Correct.
I think you tested some trunk carpet,
Yes,
and that was, you tested that for with phenolphthalein, correct?
correct.
And that was negative.
Yes,
You tested a driver's floor mat
yes,
set from a vehicle.
yes,
You tested that for blood, presence of blood
yes,
using the phenolphthalein,
correct,
and that was negative.
correct.
You tested a driver's seat, cutting from a driver's seat,
Yes,
and that's also from a vehicle, presumably.
yes,
Okay, that was also negative.
correct.
And then there's a sample that was taken from, it says trunk trim. Did you swab the trim yourself, or was it a swab that was given to you to test? Do you recall?
I did receive a large plastic piece from a trunk trim that I did test, yes.
Okay, and so you tested that also for phenolphthalein, or with phenolphthalein
With
for the
it,
presence
yes.
of blood, sorry.
Correct,
And that tested negative.
correct.
Okay, so of all the things that you tested from, do you know if they were all from the same vehicle?
I received parts from what was labeled on the packages from 2 different vehicles on different submissions.
Okay, do you know what type of vehicles they were?
One was listed on the submission form as a Cadillac Escalade, and there was another one, it was a vehicle, a Nissan Sentra, if I'm recalling correctly.
Okay,
That would be her car. But she said it tested negative. But I don't know. Something, I don't know. I think some cleaning up was covering up was done, because she tested them negative. I don't know. It's a possibility, though.
and so on a separate vehicle, you were given some, well, looks like maybe you were given actual door handles to swab. Does that seem correct?
I didn't
Welcome in,
receive
gorgeous. Happy
door
Thursday.
handles, I received swabs of
Of a door
certain
handle?
parts of vehicles, yes,
Okay, and that was from a vehicle.
yes.
So yeah, nothing was found. It was negative testing for the vehicles, is what she was saying so far.
And you tested that for blood, correct?
Correct,
And you used the phenolphthalein test,
correct,
and also it looks like you did the hemostix test on that,
correct.
and both were negative.
Both were negative, yes,
Okay. You were also given some swabs from a trunk speaker,
yes,
and you did the same 2 tests on that, correct?
yes,
And those were also negative for blood.
yes,
And then it looks like you had another trunk door frame swab.
yes,
And were you just given a swab? You weren't given like the door yourself?
Correct.
Okay. And you tested that with both the hemostix and the phenolphthalein?
Possibilities are
And those
going.
are both negative?
yes.
And I just kind of want to talk, I guess, generally about the presence of blood, or lack of presence of blood. Blood doesn't necessarily just
Hold on, I'm gonna grab a few more comments and I'm gonna get back to her cross-examination. Let's see. Alma said, did they ever test King or Shannon in the Nets van though? I don't think they did. I don't want to speculate, but I don't think so. Karen says a cover-up was done because why would he call her and tell her to wipe everything down he touched and drive her mom's home? And she did test. We already went over. I think we did her testimony already. Yeah, we did. She already testified that that she didn't clean everything up. So somebody, or either she's lying or
disappear, or the presence of blood doesn't necessarily disappear just
Nothing was
to
actually
clean something, fair to say?
It's possible.
But it's possible that it would not test positive for blood, but it also, something that had been cleaned could also test positive for blood still, even if I don't see it.
Correct.
So for example, if I cut my finger with a knife and I get blood
So
on the
she just
floor,
asked if something was cleaned up, would it still test positive? And she said yes, it would.
wipe it with a Clorox wipe, somebody could still test that for blood and potentially see evidence of blood having been there.
Potentially, yes.
I mean, there's tools like luminol that can detect blood, correct?
Correct.
And I think you used that in one of your other tests in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it is used, right?
Yes.
Okay. Blue Star is another tool that can be used to detect blood if there's an assumption or presumption that it's been cleaned. Fair to say?
It is. We don't use Blue Star though.
You use
Yes.
luminol instead.
Correct.
Okay. You don't have a test that can timestamp the presence of biological material, right?
We do not.
So you can't testify when blood is deposited, or presumptively blood is deposited on an item.
I cannot.
You also don't have a test for.
Yeah, Virgo. Well, I think her testimony, the one that's on the stand, and Latricia's testimonies, they pretty much match up from what they testified to.
There.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
Very briefly, Judge. Ms. Green, Ms. Quick just asked you about the samples that tested positive or presumptively positive of the phenolphthalein.
Check that mama card though. That's what I say.
You said you focused on the stronger ones. First, what do you mean by the stronger ones?
Depending on the amount of possible blood that's there, sometimes the reaction can be like a stronger pink or a faint pink, or it can be instant, like a blaring pink. It just depends on how much is there. And the ones that, like, I had some weak positives up there, but I also had the ones that were like instant bright pink. That's what I consider a stronger pink.
Okay. And those are the ones that you focused on to send forward for further DNA testing, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And when you go through and do all of that work that you did in terms of the ALS, the IR, and the pheno testing and the semen testing, what is the reason that you're doing that? Is it to get the best possible sample to go forward, or is it something else?
That is true, to get the best possible sample going forward, the one that would possibly have the most body fluid in it. We sent forward for DNA, and in this case,
No, this is a
conducted
rewatch.
semen testing as well
No.
as the blood testing, because when the clothing was submitted, the person that received the case and had case details, it was possible sexual assault listed on the lab request form.
Okay, and so that's the reason you did the semen testing?
Correct.
I've done it. I'll stretch.
Okay, Ms. Green, you're done testifying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McPherson, I saw you look at your watch.
Which is actually broken, but Judge, I think with the scheduling of our witnesses, now would be a good time to take a lunch.
Lunch break, okay. How many witnesses do you anticipate? Two more?
Two more.
So that'll be the officer in charge and,
Christopher James, who's going to be very quick.
okay. We have one matter we have to handle anyway, so how about, if you come back at 1:45, you think you can finish both witnesses?
I'll leave that to Ms. Quickly.
Okay. Possibly. Okay, we'll come back at 1:45 to finish testimony with Mr. Buck.
Thank you.
We got one for Martha.
All right, so I'm gonna fast forward it so we can skip all of this.
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's doable.
We got 2 more witnesses, so I'm not gonna be here much longer.
Based on.
Come on, let's go. What's up with all this?
I swear you in. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay. Go ahead and take a seat. Watch your steps. Going to the bottom. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Christopher James,
And how were you employed?
Detroit Police Department, police officer,
And how long have you been employed as such?
10 years.
Now, I want to take you back to January 30th of 2024. Were you employed as a police officer with the Detroit Police at that time?
Yes,
And were you in a different unit than you are now?
yes,
Okay, what unit were you in?
cybercrimes unit,
And were you working back on January 30th of 2024?
yes.
And did you get a chance to perform, well, I guess in your role in cybercrimes, what is it that you did?
For cell phone forensics, or,
Would that include like extractions from phones, extractions from tablets, computers?
yes,
Okay. And did you get the chance to perform an extraction on a tablet back on January 30th, 2024?
yes.
Okay. And who was this you got that tablet from, if you remember?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you know if it was from Detroit Police or Detroit Public Schools or something else?
Detroit Public Schools,
Okay. And when you perform an extraction from a tablet, what is it doing? What do you do?
it's pulling the data from the phone,
Okay. And is it like making a complete copy of what's on that device?
yes.
Okay. And when you perform that extraction, what do you do once you perform it?
I'll place it on the disk and turn it over to the officer in charge of the case.
Okay. And that disk that you place on evidence, would that be a fair and accurate copy of the phone extract or the tablet extraction that you performed on the tablet for this case?
Yes,
Okay. And Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of just the phone or the tablet extraction. And I believe it's exhibit. It's going to be proposed exhibit 59.
Any objection? No objection. It'll be a minute. Equals 59.
Thank you. And when you perform an extraction, can you generate what's called extraction reports?
yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Now, I'm handing you what's marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 60. Can you tell me if this is a document that you recognize?
Yes.
And what is it that you recognize it as?
Extraction summary,
I'm sorry. The door opened. What did you say?
an extraction summary, a report, a summary of the extraction.
Okay. And is that the report that was generated for the tablet extraction that you did?
Yes,
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the extraction that you performed as it relates to this tablet device, which contains contact?
yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 60.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, Officer James. Can you please pull that microphone off the ledge and testify to the microphone, because it's hard to hear. You can pull the whole thing off.
Yeah, because you're like 7 feet tall. We can barely hear you.
And officer, first, Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
So I can follow along with you. Fair to say that you are the examiner name, that would be you.
Yes,
And your organization is the Cyber Crimes Unit.
yes,
And the
So he pretty much got the
investigators
tablet from his eye school and extracted the data from it on January 9th.
Detective Gardner. Are you familiar with that person?
yes.
Okay. Who is that person?
Investigator with the Detroit Public Schools.
Okay. And what type of tablet is it that you extracted?
Amazon tablet.
And in this report, going on to page 2, when you do an extraction, you're able to, I guess, select parts of a device that you want to extract. Is that fair?
Trying to read what it say. So over here, you got Jarvis's name, J-Bo, or his nickname, J-Bo. Where the DM messages came from, he sent messages from Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's it pretty much. All right, let's go back. Let's continue, y'all.
Can you ask that again?
When you run a report, are you able to select parts that you want to run a report for?
Yes,
Okay. And so in this case, as it relates to contacts, on page 2, tell me what type of contact is number 1?
Instagram,
Okay. And what is the name associated with that?
J-Bo.
And what's an interaction status?
A chat participant,
Okay. And do you know what that means?
that they would be involved in the chat.
Okay. And in box number 1, where it says, let's go to box number 2, where it says user ID. Is that the user ID that would be associated with that Instagram account?
Yes,
Okay. And can you read that user ID for me?
it's gonna be 119-202-339-467-400.
I'm talking about for row number 1.
Roll number 1,
Yes.
262-854-051.
Okay. And what's the username associated with that?
J-Bo back to the money.
Okay. And there is a contact number 2. Is that fair to say?
Back to the money. Sound like a fool.
Number
It's
2.
never actually in the shop. You weren't making no money.
You mean phone number?
No, the second account.
Number 2,
Yes, number 2. What kind of interaction status is that?
friend.
Okay. And what's
Friend,
and what's the name associated with that?
J-Bo.
Okay. And what kind of user in box number 2 under entries? There's a user ID.
She kind of
What kind of
confusing him
user
with her
ID is that?
questions. Like, I guess because he lost. Like, what are you
Facebook.
talking about?
Okay. And going back up to contact number 1, where it says photos, it's fair to say there's like a kind of a hyperlink there.
Yes,
Okay. And would that indicate that there is something attached to this contact?
yes,
Okay. And it says photos. Would it be fair to say that would be a photo that was attached?
yes.
Okay. And I believe that's going to be page 3 of that report. When you click photos, this is the photo that would come up under that Instagram account.
Yes.
Nothing further, Judge.
Such a Virgo once said wasn't making trouble.
Okay, you're done testifying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a quick testimony. He was on there for like what, 5-6 minutes. So we got the last witness, y'all. This will be a trigger warning. Then I'm gonna expressed because this is Detective Shannon Jones when she starts off with text messages between Isaiah and Jarvis. So grab your drinks, a shot, cannabis users, whatever you want to use. So I'll be right back, y'all.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Shannon Jones.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the City of Detroit Police Department.
And are you assigned to a special unit or division?
Yes,
And what is that?
I'm assigned to homicide, missing persons unit.
And how long have you been employed in that role?
I've been at missing persons since 2013,
And before that, where were you at?
patrol.
Okay, and how long were you there?
I've been on the department for a total of 24 years.
Okay.
So throughout the prior years to missing persons, I had various assignments.
And what is your role in this case?
I'm the officer in charge.
What does it mean to be an officer in charge?
So I'm in charge of reviewing all the evidence and spearheading the investigations, looking into all the facts and possible suspects and information that's brought to the case and to compile it together.
And what would be some common duties that you would do in partaking those roles?
When it comes to missing persons, specifically those type of cases,
Yes.
so a missing person case, when someone's reported missing, we always go out to the home, search the home, talk to family and try to get a good timeline of when that person was last seen, their common habits, where they are supposed to be, has any patterns changed, are they not going to school and not going to work? If the investigation leads us to believe that that person may be in danger or that there's something more to just not coming home, then we start pulling different video and try to look into cell phone data or friends or associates of that specific missing.
And in particular, have you investigated what would be known as a no body case before?
Yes,
Okay, and what does it mean to be a no body case?
that would be a missing person that we have come to the conclusion is a victim of a homicide. However, we were unable to locate or recover the body.
Okay, and how does that kind of investigation
Good morning,
differ, if
Angelina.
at all,
Good afternoon.
from
Happy Thursday.
or another investigation that you would do?
It's a little tougher. You need to go
Good
through
afternoon,
and
Jennifer.
kind of be able
Thursday.
to show and establish that this person is no longer with us today. When you have a body, it's obvious, then you can come to the conclusion and work your case that way.
Hold on, I wanted to read Jennifer's comment. She said, I noticed the monster called her Zaza, which literally means movement. That's so strange to me. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah, I agree, Jennifer.
So on a no-body case, you're trying to find any signs of life, any evidence to show that there might have been some possible danger or some assault that may have happened to this person.
Now, I'm sorry. When did you get the case of Messiah Harris?
So it was first requested to me on February 12th. I received the email, which just kind of asked me to look into the case. It wasn't at our building yet or at our department. I looked into the case when I saw that DPS was initially assigned the case, and I had reached out to Lieutenant Harris from DPS to kind of ask for an update on where they were, kind of see how the case was progressing and any evidence that they may have had.
Okay. So after that, how did it come about that you got this case?
So after meeting and discussing with Lieutenant Harris and reviewing the different things, it was determined that there had been enough suspicious possible things connected to her being gone. Number one, she's never been missing before. There's been no updates on any of her social media, which is very uncommon for a young child or juvenile. They're addicted to those. There had been a last known contact that she had possibly met somebody, is what we were informed, that there was a text message for her to be picked up, and that would have been the same day that she went missing.
So when you first officially received this case, tell me, what is it that you do right off the bat?
So this case was a little different because we kind of had to go back. We were already a month behind. She went missing January 9th, and now it's February 12th. We start kind of looking into what has already been done and then what steps I would normally take moving forward.
Okay. So what kind of steps do you take moving forward?
So once I reviewed the case, and it was determined that the last person that had contact with Naziah was Jarvis Buds, I then started to look into his phone records, his activity, places that he had been. On the 12th, we had determined there was already an analyst that had looked at different records and given us a location out in Ypsilanti. So I coordinated a search for the very next day on February 13th. We went out to Ypsilanti. We conducted the search. It's a large area, and it wasn't pinpointed down to a specific house. There was a lot of wooded area over there. We had multiple teams out there. There was probably over 60 people at one point. We then started going into different businesses to look for different video that we may be able to recover close to the intersection that we believed would be a good starting point in that search area.
And did you recover, or were you able to recover anything or find anything from the Ypsilanti area?
We did find some video that was eventually pulled from a gas station.
And what was, I guess, the condition of that video?
So the video is from a gas station. It shows the intersection, I believe it's Michigan and Carpenter, which is actually, I think that is like a Springfield township. It's kind of like a little
What's going on,
small
Verse?
city
Good
just
afternoon.
outside of the county. At that point, we didn't know exactly what we're looking for, so we just kind of pulled like the window that we knew the devices were out there, specifically Jarvis Butt's device that was out there. So we kind of just pull all of that video before we lose it. And then as we gather more information, we can kind of go back and look at the video to see if there's something now that we can focus in on what we should look for.
Okay. Now that brings up a good point. You said you're a month behind on this investigation.
Yes,
So that, fair to say, being a month behind would cause you to potentially lose critical pieces of evidence.
yes,
Okay, and some of those pieces of evidence, fair to say, could be videos.
correct.
Okay. Why would it be that you would be losing those videos?
So most video systems and every business is different. You got green light, you have businesses and people that have their own residential cameras or property cameras. And it'll vary. Some of them start overwriting in 48 hours. Some of them is a week. Some may last up to a month. It just depends on how large their system is and how much data it can hold.
And is that a struggle that you encountered in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And where is it that you encountered that?
So there's several cameras and videos throughout the entire route of travel that later in the investigation we were able to identify. But as we identified those locations and went to see if video was still able to be there, it had already been overwritten or was not available.
Now, I want to take you back. You did the search in Ypsilanti. Did you do any other searches kind of immediately at that time?
Yes.
Tell me about one of them. We're going to go through them. Let's start with one of them.
Okay. So after we didn't find anything in Ypsilanti, I kind of got to go backwards a little bit and go back to who we had known was the last contact with her, which was Mr. Butts. So we did a search warrant for his home. Later, I believe it was like later that night, 13th into the 14th, we had kind of worked all the way through. We did a search warrant to obtain his cell phone so we could try to do an extraction. We contacted the jail to look through his property. There was no cell phone in the property. We then ordered the jail calls to see if there was any conversations, anybody that he had talked to. We knew that he had turned himself in on February 7th. As we started to listen to those jail calls, there was a call where he had asked his shop partner, Cordell Wright, to retrieve a phone out of a vehicle. We then went and picked up Mr. Wright and brought him down to our headquarters to talk to him about the cell phone. He did confirm and he acknowledged the phone call. He said that vehicle came up there, was a Tahoe, Tashi's vehicle, Tashiana, and that he had looked in the back seat and tried to find where the phone was that Mr. Butts kind of described where he had hid it in this vehicle. He said that he was unable to locate it. So at that point, we then did a workup on Tashiana to find out where she lived, what type of vehicle she had. It matched the description that he kind of described. We did a search warrant for her home in an attempt to locate the cellular device and any other possible evidence that may help us and direct us to where Neziah is.
So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You started off with you went to do a search warrant at Mr. Butt's home,
Yes,
and would that be the one on Wilshire?
yes,
Okay. And did you find anything at his house?
yes.
And what is it that you found?
So from his home, we had recovered, there were some electronic devices. We recovered some phones, maybe a tablet. And we recovered his ID, wallet, and a firearm that was with his wallet. I believe there was 2 actual firearms, and then there was a long gun, a rifle that was in the closet.
And did that search warrant include a vehicle?
Yes,
And what kind of vehicle did it include?
it included all vehicles that we believe may be associated. At that time, we impounded a Cadillac Escalade.
Now, you said at that point you knew that Mr. Butts had turned himself in is it the Wayne County Jail?
Yes,
And that was back on February 7th of 2024.
correct.
And at that time, did you know how long he was serving a sentence for?
We had got information that he was possibly gonna be there till December.
And that would be completely unrelated to that sentence is completely unrelated to your investigation.
Yes,
And then you said that you had pulled some jail calls, and that's what led you to Cordell Wright.
correct.
And that that jail call that you had listened to that was previously admitted as People's Exhibit 1.
Yes,
And that led you to Tashiana Davis.
correct.
And then you subsequently executed a search warrant at her house.
Correct.
And is that on Neff Street?
Yes,
And she had a vehicle there that matched the description that Cordell Wright had given you.
yes,
Okay, and would that have been a Chevy Suburban?
yes,
Okay, and then you subsequently searched that vehicle.
yes.
So
And what is it that you found in that vehicle?
what I'm hearing is that I always initially thought that when she brought her, that when the Jarvis baby mama or fiance, Tashiana chick, whatever the hell her name is, I always thought when she brought her vehicle up there to get it searched, it wasn't in there, but it was. It's just that King didn't find it because they then called him down to the station about it and then got search warrants for her property and was able to find it. So either he didn't look or he just didn't find it.
I found in that vehicle a iPhone 11, and it was in the exact area that Mr. Butts had described to his shop partner Cordell, where it would be located.
Now, if he described that exactly to a T to King, why couldn't King find it the exact same way Detective Shannon Jones found it? So either he didn't look or he couldn't. I don't know. It's just weird because we know she went up there to take her car.
And that phone, okay, so ultimately, after you do that, what's the next step that you took?
Well, we had to identify that was the actual correct phone. It was in the right place, but we still needed to get it to our headquarters and download it. We had the phone there. We made a call to 911 from that phone in order to see what the identification number was to try to verify, so we weren't just taking random phones. It did come back to Jarvis Butt's phone number that we were.
Yeah, I mean, a Chevrolet Suburban is not that damn big. I used to have one. So you're speaking to somebody who used to own that type of car. Karen Martin says he didn't look. I don't think he looked neither. Lonnie 76 says King said he ain't getting involved. Sounds like I don't know. Like she just described the same place where he looked. He wasn't able to find it. She was.
Looking for. The phone was then placed on evidence and taken to our base.
And what's the next thing that you did after that?
So after that, the phone now is getting processed under the search warrant.
Okay.
It is given to, I was given to Detective Markle, where she processed that. We then continued.
Yeah, Detective Sarah Markle was the detective we really couldn't see earlier from that angle, but she was the second witness who testified to the exact cell phone extractions that she's talking about as well too. Let me grab y'all comments real quick. This is interesting because I always thought it was the opposite way. I always thought he came, she brought her car up there, he didn't find it, but she described it to a T to the same place that where he was supposed to, where he stashed it at. So I'm just trying to see what was the difference, why he didn't find it, why she found it. But I don't think that fool even looked. Hold on, let me grab y'all comments. Virtuous Judas, I was under the impression that King was like hell nah to himself, but told Jarvis he didn't see it. Virgo 1 says King knew Jarvis was being messy. He wasn't trying to be involved. Right. Angelita says, yeah, he didn't look. He couldn't have.
We searched the residence on Wilshire. We had searched Neff. We also executed a search warrant at 9000 Connor.
And what's 9000 Connor?
9000 Connor is the location that was identified that Jarvis Butts worked at with his shop partner.
Okay. And did you find
you really got to listen to absorb what they say
at 9000 Connor?
We did take some things as evidence. There was a lot of activity going on. So I had multiple different units from within our homicide squad assisting me with different search warrants that we were executing. I believe it was the Northeast squad actually executed the Connor location search warrant. They were advised of some items to look for, obviously children's clothing. We had been given a description of a Rugrats jacket with a fur hood. We were given the clothing description. At that time, we were told that the shoes were possibly blue and white Nike shoes that we had been looking for. There was an area in the shop, as I reviewed the evidence, photos where there's like children's coloring books and maybe things that when the children are there that they're using.
Were any interviews besides the one with Cordell Wright taking place at this time?
So at that time, I had interviewed.
Yeah, I agree, Michelle.
When we went to Wilshire, we had interviewed.
Let me read her comment real quick. She says, King may not have looked, but he knew more. He knew way more than what he's saying. How do you look the other way when a child is missing? Yeah, there were things that, especially after the 9th, when there was no conversation at all, to somebody you see on a, every other day or every other weekly basis, you would kind of question, hey, I ain't seen, such and such in a while. Where they at? Those type of things. So I agree with you, Michelle. But he didn't look. I don't care what you say. He didn't. He wasn't trying to get himself involved. He was trying to distance himself from what it sounded like. I'm a magazine. I see you.
The woman that he lives with, I don't know if that's a fiance or girlfriend, but that was Miss Angel. We interviewed her there. Tashiana was in the hospital when we had executed the search warrant at her house. I had a conversation with her on the phone while we were there. Her children were there. I scheduled an interview for her later. I believe it might have been like the next day or two later that she came down to headquarters. We had interviewed Cordell at that time. And now we're just kind of going through everything that we had at that moment to try to take the next steps.
Okay. When about do you, well, When about is Mr. Butts interviewed for the first time?
So he was interviewed, we got it, looked at it on the 12th, the 13th, we executed all the search warrants. On the 14th, Mr. Butts, I believe it was the 14th, he was brought down to headquarters, or the 15th. I would have to look.
And that's okay. So it would be just a couple days after you get the case.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on Mr. Butt's first interview, which your Detective Mays here testify about, did you do anything based off of that interview?
So based on that interview, we had obtained the text now, which was turned over to us from DPS, which was the initial, I believe it was like maybe 1 week's worth of text now. So like the very end of December into the 1st of January. So during that interview was when it was asked by Detective Mays and Detective Johnson regarding the text message about meeting to be picked up.
Now, if you know, can you estimate about how many search warrants did you execute?
Probably over 20. And throughout the entire, it has to be over 20.
That's a lot of search
And
warrants.
what kind of searches were done in this case in general?
So we searched as far as like land searches,
All kinds.
all kinds. Well, we searched Ypsilanti as we did our workup, and we're looking at different locations that Mr. Butts had been to. We identified an area out in Clinton Township that he had gone out to back and forth before. And that was an
Welcome in,
area
MC.
that
Happy Thursday.
Shannon Harris, his child's mother, had lived at. So this was kind of like a route out there, and we located, there was like a big retention pond out there. So that was another place that we had dive teams come out. We had the helicopter, the cadaver dogs, and we searched out in Clinton Township. As we start breaking down the phone mapping a little bit more on Mr. Butt's phone, it kind of led us to 7 Mile and Berg.
And what's out in 7 Mile and Berg?
So 7 Mile and Berg, there is a vacant parking lot on the southwest corner. It used to be a golf course. So the entire south side of 7 Mile from Berg and then heading back east used to be a golf course, which is now shut down. And then on the other side of Berg, there's a parking lot where it has like a vacant building, which used to be the clubhouse for the golf club. And then right behind that parking lot is the Rouge River.
And when's the first time that you get out to 7 Mile and Berg?
We went out once. It was probably maybe a couple weeks later that we went out there. We went out there once, and I remember it had snowed. So when we went out there, it wasn't as easy to search. We're kind of looking if somebody was just placed out there or if something was easily identifiable. But because of the snow, we knew that we were going to have to come back again once that melted because it'd be easier to see underneath.
Okay. And so do you go out there again?
Yeah, we've been out there multiple times. I've probably been out there 7, 8 times, all with various dive teams. We searched the complete river from 8 Mile all the way down past 96 on foot with cadaver dogs, in boats, in the water. There's several log jams. We had state police actually had their helicopter fly the entire route so we could GPS all the log jams. We had to coordinate with specialized teams to come in to help cut these log jams apart, which go throughout the river. And then throughout the season, obviously we had some rain, so the water goes up and down, which now brings the debris onto the land. So you have to actually search the land a couple hundred feet. And some places that the water has pulled debris.
No, I don't sound like it. I'm a magazine. She said,
we searched the homes.
It don't sound like it. Because first she said once.
As I said, search the vehicles.
All right. So when you're out there at 7 Mile and Berg, do you have an idea of what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and what was the idea of what you're looking for?
So initially, when we were out there, again, we had the clothing description, we had the picture of her that she had sent that night, or that day that she went missing on the night. So we were looking for the black hoodie, we were looking for, again, initially, we were told blue and white gym shoes.
Now, is there a time where that changes?
Yes.
Okay, and what is it that makes that change?
So as we go out to areas and search, when we leave, a lot of times large community groups may go out there, right? And they saw that we were at Sevenenberg, and I know people come out there to help. There was a group that had been out there and they were recording, and they saw a pair of Nike shoes, which were the red and black. We were alerted of those on our initial search. It's documented in our river search report. But because we weren't focused on the red and black, and we were looking for blue and white Nike shoes, we left them there, but we did GPS the coordinates.
Stop you right there. That would have been Border Patrol Agent Wyatt Barnes.
Yes,
Okay, you heard his testimony.
yes,
All right, continue.
yeah. So on our initial search, we knew they were out there. The pink hoodie was identified, but we didn't collect them because, again, we didn't have anything about a pink hoodie or a pink onesie. And
But you
shoes
still
weren't
should have
matching.
collected
And
it.
there's a lot of clothing out there. There's a lot of shoes out there. There's people's.
So she just confirmed what Agent Wyatt Barnes testified to a day or two ago or yesterday, that they left items out there. They didn't collect them at first initially, because that's not what they didn't. They said that's not what was on the list, so they didn't bother to even tag and bag it.
Clothes, there's all type of debris. So I can't collect every single piece of clothing and article that we find. Later, I get the information that as the search team is out there, they had called 911 because they saw these shoes. And they posted a picture of these shoes somewhere or sent it to Naziah's brother. Naziah's brother then reached out to me and he sent me a picture of Naziah wearing the black and white Nike shoes.
Okay.
Once I saw she had the exact same shoes on, that are depicted, that were described out there, I knew immediately where to go. I gathered a couple members of my team and we immediately went back out to where the shoes were GPS located and recovered the shoes. As we were there, that's when we found the black hoodie, and then the pink jumpsuit that had been laid out by Agent Wyatt.
Okay. Now, as it relates to those red and black Nike shoes, you had a photo that they were associated with Naziah in some way. Did you ever end up asking Annette to see if those shoes were still in Naziah's possessions?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever end up recovering those pairs from Annette?
No.
So after you recover the pink jumpsuit, the black hoodie, the shoes, what do you do with them?
Those are all, well, the evidence techs collect them. They're placed on evidence. Those items were wet, so I had to wait, obviously, for them to dry. Once they're ready to be processed and they're finished drying, then I create a lab report. And items are selected and turned over to the state police lab.
What up, though,
for
Tiffany?
processing
Happy
to look
Thursday,
for any type of DNA evidence.
Okay,
Let
so
me grab a few comments real quick. I'm a Magazine says, right, it should have been collected still. Facts. Karen Martin says they should have collected everything they seen. And Amma says they should have collected some of her clothes from home too. K Times Rose says they GPS the items they were told she wore a completely different outfit by the household. Okay. Now I'm making sense. Lonnie 76 says, oh wow, I hadn't seen this part of her testimony. Yeah, this is the officer in charge, Shannon Jones. And it's just we're just rewatching and revisiting. The household lied about everything from the beginning. Yeah, I kind of sensed that too. Lonnie 76 says, wow, the stuff out there was no ending to how much clothing. Yeah, it was a lot of things. So I don't think with the manpower, they wouldn't have been able to gather every piece of clothing article. Michelle says the Harris women lied about what she was wearing. Their complicity slowed the investigation down. Why? Naziah was a child.
once those are placed on evidence by the lab tech, you're the one who then submits them to Michigan State Police.
Yes.
Okay.
There may be some of the lab reports where I had gathered the evidence and one of my partners had gone down and physically took the items to the lab, which is all in the same building.
Now, I believe you said at least one time when you were out at 7 Mile and Bury that it had been snowing. Were you at all, I guess, familiar with kind of the weather back? Let's start with back in January 9th.
Yeah, so I searched it. There's a weather site where you can search the dates and the cities and what the weather was like. On the 9th into the 10th, it had rained here. If you remember, we had a very mild winter. In 2024, the January months, we had a lot of rain that month, which would have caused, the water levels to rise.
Now, is there, did you interview a Tijuana Butts?
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
Tijuana actually reached out to me. Shannon Harris had reached out to me. She had had a conversation with Tijuana. She asked if it was okay for her to give her my phone number. I told her that was fine. She gave me a call. She said that she was the sister of Jarvis Butts and that she was concerned that she may have seen Isaiah but wasn't sure on the date and if she could come down and talk.
Okay, and that's all what she had testified to that you had heard?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you also heard that she had given Detroit police consent to look at her phone locations and perform a phone extraction.
Yes.
And that Detective Sarah Markle is actually the one who performed that extraction.
Yes.
Okay. Did you yourself look at the phone location data that was on Tijuana's phone?
Yes, so even before we extracted the phone, when she was in there in the interview, she had given me consent to look at her phone. She wasn't quite sure how to get to the locations. She had Google on her phone.
Happy afternoon.
So we went to the Google Maps, went to her timeline, and then specifically clicked on January 9th to see if it showed her route. When we got to the January 9th date, it was confirmed that that is the date that she was at 9,000 Connor. And it helped us with the timeline of when she was there compared to when we know Mr. Butts left that location to head out to Ypsilanti on the 9th.
And Your Honor, may I approach People's Proposed Exhibit 85?
Yes.
58, sorry.
Hold on, y'all. I'll be right back.
Can you use Marcus People's Proposed Exhibit 58? Can you look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, this is a Cellbrite extraction report that was conducted by Detective Markle for Tijuana Butts cellular device.
Okay, and that report specifically includes the location data in the subsequent pages as it relates to Ms. Butts' phone. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, and is that a fair and accurate depiction of the screenshot photo locations, location data from Tijuana Butts' phone that you observed that the day when you interviewed her?
Yes.
I move the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit.
All right, I'm back, y'all. I'm sorry.
People's 58.
And I want to direct you to
Comments real quick. They flowing. Virtuous Judas said that's what you're supposed to, whether they're the brother or not. Facts. K Times Rose said, well, that's what complete justice is about, everyone involved. Facts. A Magazine says a lot of people are trying to look out for themselves like Annette, Shannon, and King. Daytimes Rose said, but we fought to assure the lies was uncovered for sure. Hey, what up, though, Faye? Drip set in the building. All right, I'm gonna continue, guys.
I guess it's gonna be page 3 of the report. Let's go 4 of the report. Let's do page 5. Where does it say that Ms. Butts was from 3:45 p.m. to 5:16 p.m.?
So it gives the location described as, on here it says Citgo, and it gives the address of 9,000 Connor Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48213.
And do you know do you know Mr. Butts's 9,000 Connor Auto Shop to be connected with the gas station?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to go back just a little bit, you said you were kind of going through all the phone mapping in order to kind of backtrack as to where your investigation goes and where you should search.
Yes.
And those maps were testified to by Sergeant O'Rourke.
Yes.
Okay. Now, she mapped certain locations, and she stated that you had given her some of those locations to map.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to direct you to in People's Exhibits 33, 34. Here, may I go? The blue dot here. What is it that indicates, and what is the importance of that?
Hey, Arlene, welcome in. Happy Thursday to you. No, this is a rewatch from last year.
This blue dot is going to be 9,000 Connor.
Okay. And that's the address associated with Mr. Buck's auto shop.
Yes.
Okay. And is that the same for Exhibit 34?
Yes.
And Exhibit 35, there's the same blue dot and then a purple dot. Tell me, what is the significance of the purple dot?
The purple dot is going to be the residence that Mr. Butts resides at on Wilshire.
And in Exhibit 36, on page 2, there's like another, it's like a pinkish kind of purple dot. Can you tell me what is, red dot. What does the red dot indicate?
The red dot is going to identify 20,000 Harper, which was the Park Crest Motel.
And on page 4 of 4, there is a lighter purple dot along with that red dot. What does the purple dot indicate?
That dot is going to indicate 4 East Alexandrine.
Okay, and what's the significance of 4 East Alexandrine?
Mr. Butts has a different girlfriend that lives at that location.
And in People's 38, there's a red dot. Which dot is that?
That would identify 7 Mile and Berg.
Okay, and is that the same 7 Mile and Berg? You tell me. What was found at 7 Mile and Berg area again?
7 Mile and Berg area is where we identified the hoodie, the pink jumpsuit, and the shoes. And it's also the area that Mr. Butts' phone was.
Yeah, Michelle says, when was he arrested? Who was he living with in Wilshire? Too many women, I can't keep up. I believe her name was, the lady's name was Angel, that he was living with at that time in Wilshire. Let me grab a few more comments real quick. Damone, welcome in. Happy Thursday. Yeah, those items were planted, but also there were plenty other clothes and stuff in those woods that weren't collected. I believe they belong to other people. The DNA came from cross contamination. Okay, I see it. Carla Henry says, Tom, do you know if Annette or any of Naziah Harris family members showed up in court? One of her relatives is in the chat, Carla Henry. I wouldn't know the answer to that question, but I believe Kiwana is in here. The mom says, where homeless people stay, there's plenty of clothes and other items in those wooded areas. Oh, okay, I see. All right, let's go back to it, guys.
Mapping with. There was there's an additional search area that I did not include when she had asked me before.
I did see Rossi Rocks in Kenya, Carla Henry in the preliminary hearings. That's what you're referring to. A few days of these hearings. So yeah.
And that was where the ID was found. We had found the ID or received the 911 call for the ID before we went back
You're welcome.
the second time out for the shoes at 7 Mile and Berg. So we had also searched all of Evergreen. There's the Henry Ford High School over there. We searched behind the school, the wooded areas, and all the vacant homes in that surrounding as well.
And that would have been the ID that Miss Smith had recovered.
Yes.
Now I want to go into, you had a chance to go through Mr. Butt's phone extraction, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also do a search warrant as it relates to a Google account for Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it that you knew what his Google Gmail was?
That was documented when I went to the cell phone.
Okay. And you got a chance to go through, you sent a search warrant to Google for it, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you got a chance to go through that search warrant return?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the search, or that's the Gmail account that would be associated with Mr. Butts.
Correct.
Yeah, guys, I'm not sure what's going on in the chat, but this is a safe space, so let's all be respectful. Any argument about that, y'all will be put out. I'm sorry. It's just not what it's going to be today. It's just not what it's going to be today.
And everybody had booked for Post Exhibit 63?
Yes.
And you, Marshall, you booked for Post Exhibit 63. Can you tell me, do you recognize what it is I just handed you?
Yes, this contains jarvisbutts82@gmail.com, which was his Google subscriber information.
And that's the first page. And the second page is, what would those include?
The next pages include searches that I located inside that Google return that we received from Google.
Okay, and does that document fairly and accurately depict what it is you received back from Google as it relates to a search warrant for jarvisbutts82@gmail.com?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of Eagles proposed exhibit, I forgot. 63.
Any objection?
No objection.
To be admitted as people 63?
Okay, and I want to go back to the first page, and you said that with the subscriber information. Tell me, who is the subscriber?
So it has a Google account ID number, then it gives a name that says Jarvis Butts. It has an email address, jarvisbutts82@gmail.com. There's also a phone number that's connected to it, which is 313-585-8719.
And is there a birthday associated with that?
Yes, November 21st, 1982.
And moving on to the searches, what dates do those searches encompass?
These searches are December 9th,
Of what year?
Yep, December 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2023.
Okay. And it's fair to say that those are the entirety of all of the searches from those days.
It is not all of them,
Okay.
no.
Those are just select ones from the Google return.
Yes.
Starting with December 9th, tell me which ones that we have in that exhibit.
Okay, look, look here, because now I'm about to get irritated. We had this issue yesterday. I didn't speak on it a lot, but please be respectful in the chat. I don't want to end this live or put anybody out. That's all I'm gonna say. Be respectful.
So the first,
I'm the host.
do you want me to read the ones that are just highlighted, or you want me to start at the top of here? So,
The ones that are highlighted.
okay.
Just start with the ones that are highlighted.
Yep, so this search was December 9th, 2023 at 3:32 UTC time. So you would actually have to subtract 5 hours, which would make it the night of December 8th. And the site is, what's visited, it's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the Herbal Abortion Tea by Maya.
And what about the next one after that?
There is a site that's visited on December, it says here December 10th, 2023 at 9:32 PM UTC, so -5. And the site visited is plannedparenthood.org/learn/abortion/the abortion pill. The
And
next
yes, the next
The
one.
next search is immediately after that, so December 10th at 9:32 PM UTC, the abortion pill, get the facts about medication abortion. There is a search that was conducted before that on December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 PM UTC. And that site is plannedparenthood.org /blog/can I use herbs to have an abortion at home?
And the next
The
one.
next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 PM.
Yeah, Chandra.
UTC, can I use herbs to have an abortion at home? Planned Parenthood.
And the next one.
The next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 PM UTC. So again, -5 hours. And that site is, it's ansirh.org, research, over-counter medication abortion. Search December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 PM, over-the-counter medication abortion, and that's from that same place before, ANSIRH. December 10th, 2023 at 9:32, Planned Parenthood, abortion, the abortion pill, how do I have an abortion using only the misoprostol, misoprostol. The next search, December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, learn abortion, the abortion pill. So it's like the same, back and forth to the same site. On December 11th at 11:43 PM UTC, so -5 hours, specifically is searched is, can I drink red antifreeze? Again, that same item is searched again right after the same time, 11:43 on December 11th, 2023.
These
And
items
that's-
are a little too detailed. Hold on, let me grab a few comments. Aggie says, but family don't know nothing. Come on. Let's talk about it. Said all those searches he did mean a lot. Yeah. Sandra says, okay, wow. Aggie says it was not just him trust and believe. And that's what I was getting to, Aggie. I don't think it was either, but that's just a personal opinion. The names is too detailed. Who knows something like this?
Now, in that phone extraction that you went through of Mr. Butts, that Detective Marple had admitted, were you able to go through and I know you had mentioned there was the Text Now app and Text Now phone numbers that
Yes.
have been associated with Neziah.
Yes,
When you went through Mr. Butt's phone extraction, did you find any of Neziah's Text Now
Yeah, virtuous. Yeah,
numbers?
facts.
yes.
Okay. And do you recall?
Grab a few more questions. Aggie says, question, why didn't he even make it to court? Why didn't he even make it to court, Detroit? Stand up, where are the real street dudes? I'll get what you're saying. Why did he even make it to court? Where are the real street dudes in Detroit? I get what you're saying. K-Ton says, I'm glad you're showing this for all the Jarvis cheerleaders who have been misled. Didn't one of his women have a miscarriage? I don't know about that. Damone, is it? Or no, Diamond, sorry. I don't know about that one, Diamond. Aggie says, he has so many kids. I lost count, LOL. Ashante says, I was thinking all the way back and forth searching. All the back and forth searching he did. He probably initially looked it up on his own. And then whenever he got around Shannon or whomever, he went back to the site to show them. That's an interesting point too, Ashanti. Galatians said, Shannon definitely had something to do with this unaliving. I bet my life on it. Let's talk about it. Says you can Google one specific thing and more choices pop up. Interesting. K Times Road, what did you mean? 10% evidence. Does that mean that all presented in the prelim? That's true. Yeah, that was true. Shannon had a miscarriage. Yep. Yeah. Dropping my phone. Prelim evidence is to move to the next court. The one that was in the hospital when they searched her home. Oh, Tashiana. That was his fiance, but I don't think he had any kids with her.
If what was on his phone, but first of all, did you eventually do a search warrant for Text Now?
Yes,
Okay, and did you receive messages back from Text Now?
yes. So the initial text now messages, again, DPS had done those and they had only gone back like a week.
I see what you meant, Kimmy, with that comment.
I had another search
Yeah.
warrant submitted to text now and requested to go back to January 1st of 2020.
I don't know. It seemed like at first, initially, when it started, it was all him, but then it kind of transitioned to someone else. So I get what you're saying, Kimon.
Okay. And
Yeah, Diamond. Yeah.
when you found these text and messages on Mr. Butt's phone, did those include all of the messages that you got back from Text Now, or just only parts?
It's all the messages through text now that were to that number that was assigned that Neziah was using on text now.
That's what you got back from Text Now.
Yes.
But I'm talking about on Mr. Butt's phone.
Oh, Mr. Butt's phone specifically was just the messages from text now between him and Neziah.
Okay, and did it include everything that you received back from Text Now, or?
No.
Okay. And Chairman, may I approach?
Yes.
Approaching with people's proposed exhibits 46 and 47. Can you tell me, in exhibit 46, do you recognize what I handed you?
Yes, this is a extraction report for a iPhone. And it was for phone number account 313-585-8719. And this is the section, in that extraction about messages.
Okay. And is that exhibit, proposed exhibit 46, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that were on Jarvis Butt's phone between his phone number and the number
That's Virgo 1.
213-743-3173?
231, yes. 231.
231.
Yes.
Sorry, numbers. 231-743-3137.
Yes,
Okay. And those are the ones that you had seen on Mr. Butt's phone.
correct.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 46.
Objection.
It'll be admitted as Peoples 46.
And those cover a period of October 7th, 2023 through November 23rd of 2023. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. And now I want to show you proposed exhibit 47. Do you recognize what I handed you in 47?
yes, this is another extraction from the phone, and this is under the message section.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that you went through on Mr. Butt's phone to the number 313-379-5882?
Yes,
And I would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 47.
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted as Peoples 47. Can you repeat that phone number?
313-379-5882.
Thank you.
Thank you. And those would be from the date period of September 26th, 2022 to September 30th, 2022.
yes,
And now I want to show you what's already been admitted as people's exhibits 15 and 16. And these were already admitted. These are certified copies of text mail messages. So I want to talk specifically about subscriber information within them. In People's 15, is there a subscriber as it relates?
yes.
Okay, and who is that subscriber?
Excuse me, you need to let me hear. I can't hear you with your back turned.
Okay, so is there a subscriber as it relates to that?
Yes.
Who is that?
The username on here is Kenyatta Harris 955.
And are you familiar with the Kenyatta Harris?
Yes,
And how is it that you're familiar with her?
that is Nazia's biological mother.
And is there, on the next page, is there a phone number that is associated with that account? It might be on the subscriber information too.
Yes,
And what is that phone number?
313-379-5882.
And what is the period of usage for which the subscriber Kenyatta Harris had that phone number?
The phone ownership is from September 24, 2022 through November 8, 2022.
Gorgeous me, I'm not sure. I hope so.
And for the subscriber information in People's 16, can you tell me who is the subscriber there?
The subscriber here, the username is Nazia Harris 74.
And is there a phone number associated with that?
Yes,
What is that phone number?
231-743-3137.
And is there a phone ownership date period for that?
Yes,
What's that date period?
January 1st, 2024 to February 6, 2024.
Hold on.
Okay. Are you familiar with the location of
Hold on. Let me pause the live, guys? This is
17?
really becoming frustrating that I have to babysit. May I ask what's going on in the chat? Is there something that needs to be sorted out? What's going on? Opinions do not matter in the court of law. It was speculation that she's possibly texting from her phone, but I don't think anyone or anything was proven. Again, trying to remove Jarvis from the Google antifreeze is wild. Accountability is what it's called. What about Shannon old phone? Yeah, I can't see Shannon even going into Jarvis' phone. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know none of them personally or anything like that. But do you really think he would let her get into his phone? That's just my personal opinion. I don't, I'm just saying. But I don't know what's going on in the chat, so that's why I paused it live.
500 East Warren Avenue in the city of Detroit.
Yes.
And may I approach?
Yes.
I got to remember Tashiana tried to go on his phone when he was asleep in the middle of the night and couldn't get into
4,
it.
5, and 6 already admitted. How is it that you're familiar with that location?
So I don't see him.
This is Frank's Auto Repair. It's located on Warren, right at Neff, 17500 East Warren. This is a location that Jarvis Butts worked at prior to working at 9000 Connor.
And that's in the city of Detroit, Wayne County?
Yes.
Now, did you yourself, I want to go into the interviews with Mr. Butts.
Yes.
Did you interview Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay. I want to start with
back in, Sassy. So who's on the stand right now is Detective Shannon Jones, the officer in charge. I believe she's about to be wrap it up with her testimony, and then the text messages of this and all that stuff is going to be tomorrow.
On May 31st, 2024. Do you see the person that you interviewed in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Can you point to him, tell me the color of the clothing that he's wearing?
Yes, he's sitting behind the defense counsel. He's wearing a face mask and he has the Wayne County green jumpsuit on.
Okay. And Your Honor, would the record reflect that witnesses identified defendant Jarvis Butts? And we've been talking this whole time about a Jarvis Butts. Is that the same Mr. Butts in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this interview back on May 31st, 2024, where was that at?
That was at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay. And who was all there?
Myself and Sergeant Lance Sullivan.
And do you recall about what time this interview took place?
It was in the afternoon,
Okay. Or about how long did this interview last?
like 2-3 hours.
Okay. And with Mr. Butts, did you ask him about his education and speaking English, things like that?
Yes.
And did you offer him any
No
food or
problem,
drinks?
Sassy.
I believe at one point we had asked him about if he needed some water because we had been there a minute.
And did you read Mr. Butts his constitutional rights?
I believe Sergeant Sullivan went through those with him.
Okay. And was something used to assist in the reading of those rights?
Yes.
Okay. And Journal, may I approach?
Yes.
Can you with Smart People Proposed Exhibit 26? You tell me what it is I just handed you.
So this is a Detroit Police Department constitutional rights, advice and rights form.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the one that was executed back on May 31st, 2024 with Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 26.
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted as People's 26.
Thank you. And did Mr. Butts, did he sign or initial acknowledging his rights?
Yes, he read them and he initialed them and he signed.
Okay. And did he agree to speak with you two?
Yes.
Okay. And I would pass for voluntariness.
Sergeant Jones, you came to interview my client on May 31st, correct?
Yes.
It was you and you said Sergeant Sullivan?
Yes.
Were you aware he was represented by counsel at that time?
Yes.
In fact, did one of you call his counsel and ask for permission to interview him?
On that date?
Not on that date, prior to that date,
Several months before, yes.
in April 17th, in fact, right?
I don't have the exact date, but it was a couple months before that.
And the words used were under no circumstances, right?
Under no circumstances.
May you interview Mr. Butts?
Well, that's not true.
You were not told you could not interview Mr. Butts?
Judge, I would object. This is a legal argument. Only the client themselves can enforce their right. A defense attorney cannot enforce their right to remain silent.
I just asked a question. Was she told not to, she couldn't interview?
So,
1 second. Were you getting ready to say something else?
But, and it has nothing to do with this interview.
If we're talking about voluntariness, I want to see, was she aware that he had a right to have his counsel? They contacted his counsel told them, no, do not interview. That's my.
You're saying this had nothing to do with this interview?
They're trying to argue if his Sixth Amendment right was violated, guys.
That was not this
It
day.
was not.
This was completely separate. And a defense attorney cannot invoke their client's right to remain silent. That's just the end of it.
It's true.
Period, like she said.
So you and your partner went to speak to Mr. Butts, correct?
yes,
You took him, where did you interview him from? At?
at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay, did you interview him on this was at, forgive me, at Division 1,
Yes.
Baird? Did you interview him on his floor or did you take him somewhere else?
I don't know where his floor is, so Wayne County had prepared a room for us to be able to interview him.
Okay, so you took him to another room and you and your partner interviewed him?
Yes.
And you gave him his constitutional rights and you did not give him food or water, correct?
Correct.
You don't know what time of day this was?
Well, I just saw the form here, so I see it's about 1 in the afternoon.
Okay,
Hold on, let me grab some comments. Big Mama 2 says, replay Jarvis check-in and check-out. Didn't make sense. The times don't match. You can't check in at 1/9/24, 9:30 p.m. and check out the same day at 12:30 p.m. You must be talking about Detective Lisa Johnson's testimony, who we tried to get through earlier, but they cut her testimony, the video, the actual footage, cut it short. So I would have to, but I know what you're referring to, Big Mama. Nina, welcome in. Happy Thursday. Oh my God, just hearing this again, Korean. Yeah. Michelle says, okay, thank you. Monster Butts didn't say I'm not talking without my attorney. Yeah, he didn't say anything to that extent at all. Virtuous Judah said, this dude a clown. Glad he representing Jarvis. Gorgeous me, his floor. Jarvis don't own nothing. Detroit has hotels that you can rent by the hour. Yeah, they do.
Were you aware that he was working at the jail?
There had been a conversation that he was given some small duties, but that it had been taken away from him.
Okay, do you know if he had worked that day?
That I do not recall.
Okay, and do you know if he had actually been to sleep prior to you visiting him?
When we talked to him, he didn't seem sleepy.
Do you know if he had anything to eat prior to you visiting him?
He did not complain about being hungry.
Yeah, we're going to pass voluntariness.
Thank you, Judge. Now, this interview with Mr. Butts on May 31st, 2024, was that recorded in any way?
Yes.
And how was it recorded?
It was recorded with a body worn camera from the Detroit Police Department that were issued, and it was also recorded on a audio recording for voice only.
Okay. So is audio and video on the body cam and then also just
Yeah, so
audio?
two different factors.
Okay. So, and it's fair that you had seen this video prior to today?
Yes,
Okay. And when you saw that video from May 31st, 2024, was that video a fair and accurate depiction of the video interview that took place?
yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 27.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's Exhibit 27.
Thank you. And for the audio, do you have a chance to prior listen to that?
Yes,
And was that audio a fair and accurate depiction of the audio that was recorded from the interview back on May 31st, 2024?
yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 28.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's 28.
Thank you, Judge. And you also interviewed him. Well, let's go with the 31st. Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
And I made clips this time. I'm not going to play the entire video. And for the record, this is from Exhibit 26, and it's clip 1.
You can't hear nothing in the interrogation video. Let me try to see if I can put the closed caption on. My bad. I guess not.
And this is clip 2.
You can't even capture the closed caption.
He is very quiet. I don't know if it's my volume that has to go up.
Let me try turning it down on TV. I can't hear one word.
Let me try now. This is starting it for clip 2.
to the history of the I have this best I could, I have fires, I have friends, start out with fires. You said fires? Fires.
Now, in that clip, Mr. Butts was talking about him keeping his distance given his history,
Yes,
and that he tried to help as best as he could with flyers.
that he was trying to help with flyers regarding this I being missing, yes.
Now I'm going to play clip 3.
One of the applications, they said that I was supposed to be in the area, she was the potential something that was in the area at the time. I worked in the fucking area. That's my so. Did they say why they came to you, or you just contact you? I was having a series of sentences. Something about, I leave them, and I explained to them that they anytime we start text messaging from they said to see texting, from time to time, I have a lot of jobs. And I open one, so I started with like, I probably go the next day, I always touch the ground. I started in the ground, so I was ground, I got work. So they're doing one. That's what I'm saying. So that there's like a lot of taxes, she really gets it. Yeah, you guys can talk about people running my window. Had work for us, you know what I'm saying? And that was when I said I was going to get the hot tops and sometimes when I was working at house, I said I did so I had in the office space, had bathroom, clean bathroom, or stuff like that. Organizing the store. And I paid it.
Now, in that clip, he talks mostly about that there was some text messages. He would have the girls come and clean, be at the shop, and he would have work for them.
Yeah, he was talking about, he would pick up the kids, he would give them a little bit of money, and they would come clean up and tidy up the shop.
Okay. And that.
So you heard what the officer in charge said. He came and picked up the kids, which was said that he never did.
He believes that it's normal for her to text him for work.
Yes.
Okay. Now, clip 4.
Do you remember that? This that he tried to talk about this for the money thing is my lesson. I remember that context because they were busy. Okay. And I never seen it.
Now, he's referring to seeing a text message but being busy.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what was that about?
When I believe that when she was texting him, he's referring back to when he was interviewed with Detective Mays and Johnson about the messages that she had texted him, and that he had assumed that he was going to be picking them up by the grandma's house. Then he hadn't replied because he was busy working, and then he finally replied with "okay."
Okay. Now, you also interviewed Mr. Butts the next day. You came back the next day.
Yes.
What's the reason you came back the next day?
We had some more questions.
Okay. And was he once again, I guess, was he still constrained by that advice of rights?
We had him sign another one. He read another one that day, and he signed it that day as well. I'm pretty sure, or we showed him this and he agreed to it. That's what it was. This was the paper. We showed him, he agreed to it, he understood it, and he continued to talk.
Okay, so you were using that same form?
Yes,
Okay. And,
So he understood his constitutional rights from the get-go.
once again, sorry. Okay, and once again, he acknowledged his rights,
yes,
and he did continue to speak with you.
yes,
Okay, and he didn't mention anything about not wanting to speak with you.
correct.
And did he give you any reason in your experience to think that him speaking with you wasn't voluntary?
No,
And just what's that? You know, I passed for voir dire to voluntariness for the June 1st statement.
Sergeant, do you recall on June 1st, you were with your partner Sullivan? You didn't have him sign the form.
well, we had presented this back to him. We had this form, advised him that this was still, if he understood his rights, and he agreed.
So your words, I believe, were, you remember the form you signed yesterday. You still understand that?
And did I say that, or
No,
did Sergeant Sullivan say
Sergeant
that?
Sullivan said that.
Okay. You want me to say what Sergeant Sullivan said?
No, I just want, you went with your partner and you understand that nobody had him sign anything that day.
That he was re-advised of the rights from the form that he had signed the first day, and he was shown the form, and he agreed to continue to talk.
Are you sure he was re-advised, or do you remember signing a form yesterday?
You would have to play to hear the exact, I can't tell you the exact words that Sergeant Sullivan said. I don't recall his exact words.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to object to this. As I recall hearing this tape, there was no reading of rights for the second date. The only thing that happened on the second date was he was advised, do you recall signing the form yesterday? Yeah, that still applies. That's not.
Do you want to play it so I can hear it?
Sure. You want to play June 1st beginning, probably the first 5 minutes.
This lawyer ain't got no argument. He's just trying to, he's reading pretty much. Yeah, they are gorgeous. Me. She asked, are they running all his cases of SA on everybody in the same court? Yeah. Carla Henry says the demon should have never been around kids at all. They all knew it. That's true. What are we waiting on?
Be from here. Sorry, hold on. This is 5:31.
Ms. Ridley, it might be best to play that to show that he, or I want to see that as well, to show on the 31st what he understood it to be.
Oh, okay, yes, sure.
I'd like to talk to you, right? I'd like to get a little, sure. If there's things that we don't want, you don't want to talk about, just send us a link. Let's get that done. Is that fair? Honestly, there's no, I'm not gonna flip the shirt, yeah, I'm not gonna flip the shirt, or no, there's just a lot of things going on. We're involved in some of it, we're just trying to do like our line grab process. Is that fair? Okay, you familiar with the right? Do me a favor, I should know before you consuming, you can raise your hand. Cover the most. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. So you're trying to look at your read those and then initial one, so you can understand. Right to the inside, everyone else wants to request to me, I understand my name or anything I say, within this and of the law. I have the right to attend present for and then time I answer any questions or any statements. I do not foreign attorney, all of your going from you without cause.
So in this part, he's just reading his constitutional rights and what he understands it to be. They're just playing the video of that.
I can decide at any time to exercise my rights and not answer any questions or any statements. I understand that these are the rights of the law. I have not been written or promised anything that I have now desired for these questions, which to me related to speak. Any questions on those? Do me a favor, this is the initial license tonight, and others also. That's my purpose saying. So where you can take time, I'll explain exactly what I'm doing. Yes. Then sign it, signature and date sign. Sign it, just general sign it, there you sign it right there. I'd say May 31st already.
Yeah, I agree, Michelle. Somehow that doesn't seem like the guy is making to be murdered.
And for the record, that was from People's Exhibit.
Let's see. I'm gonna keep playing.
27, and it was paused at 4 minutes and 9 seconds. And this is playing from Exhibit 29 at 1 minute 20 seconds.
Pax Virgo 1.
Jared, I'm sorry.
Keon say, welcome, man. Happy Thursday. Found you the other day, interested in your content. Happy I joined the live. Appreciate you.
Playing at 1 minute and 22 seconds.
I'm literally leaving tomorrow morning, studying like the Boston for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking like, how did it look like you talk to you? I thought you had good talk, you had certain, some stuff that we went back and looked at, And I'm thinking like, if I come back 3 weeks from now, they're probably like, I don't remember that conversation. I just thought if we could, everybody talked to you this morning or today, and then you know, all we're gonna talk for 2 weeks, right? So if you wanna talk to me after, and this is gonna be, yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, good. And, you know, just say that in turntable, right? You're gonna come out the thing, and 2 weeks, I mean, you're at the third week, you know, like this, right? So if we might like this, if we kind of continue our talk, we talk tomorrow. Okay, all right, so, but yeah, same rules apply, nothing's changed. We don't want to talk about something, I'll talk about something, there's no training one, so. You went over your intention, now, how many times sign the form, right? You see your representative or representatives, there are, you want to just continue with this one. So, okay, you're still familiar with the rules, correct? Okay, nothing's changed, right? Alright, so,
Yeah, I paused.
So he said, yeah, I agree. I understand my constitutional rights is what he just said in this video. So
Exhibit 29 at 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Judge, I would just say that it's Mr. Butts who agrees to continue with just that form. And I would also argue that another form is not actually needed. He did have that form in front of him. And in fact, because there was not even an invocation of a right, or there was nothing that would be, you know, ambiguous or unequivocal, that there doesn't need to be another form signed. And Mr. Butts is clearly aware of his rights, as he stated.
yeah, please misspell out
He's
first
the one
words.
who agreed to
Up,
be
lady.
okay
Good
with not
afternoon.
signing another form and not going through with that.
And Your Honor, I would argue that just because he may know his right does not dispose the government of their duty to make sure that he is read, understands his right each and every time they interview him. So the fact that they may think he knows his right does not mean that they aren't supposed to read him his right, make sure he understands and make sure that they're accurate before he waives them. That's not a knowing, intelligent, voluntary waiver.
And Judge, I would just say that Mr. Butts was not even under arrest for this case. There was no rights even needed.
Yeah, they
He was
testified,
in County Green for something else.
he was in County Green somewhere else, but he was not in his cell. He was not on his floor. They took him to another place where he was not free to go.
Well, he wasn't free to go because of another reason, Judge, not because of anything to do with this case.
So I also learned, I heard him saying there that he went to Wayne State for college. So that
That's correct, Judge.
question of whether or not you can understand is out the window for me. The male detective did offer and said that he might as well do a different form, a new form for today. And the defendant, Mr. Butts, stated it wasn't necessary, not those exact words. And he said it's the same rules. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. And are you familiar with your rights? And asked him that, and he said yes. I don't see if there was anything that was not voluntary about that interaction. So I'm going to find, or I'm going to deny your objection and find it to be voluntary.
Thank you, Judge. And Sergeant Jones, that June 1st interview was audio recorded,
Yes,
and it was also video recorded,
yes,
just like the day before.
correct.
And that video, we've just seen a clip here. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the video statement that you took back on June 1st?
Yes,
Over the People's Exhibit 29.
Any objection outside of the one already?
Outside of my standing objection.
Yes, it'll be admitted.
And it was also audio recorded.
yes,
And you had a chance to review that audio.
yes,
And that was a fair and accurate depiction of the audio recording of the interview back on June 1st.
yes, ma'am.
And I would move for the admission of Exhibit 30.
With the same standing objection, I would admit it.
Thank you, Judge. And now I also have clips for this.
Okay.
And Judge, do you mind if I sit while I?
No, I don't mind.
Thank you. And publishing clip 1. Sorry. Yes, from Exhibit 29.
Before you, I asked you, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you, did you see her? Okay.
And you were, Mr. Butts asked if he saw her.
Correct.
Who was he referring to?
Messiah,
Okay, and when were we talking about? And I've seen her when?
on the 9th of January, 2024.
And I'm playing clip 2.
And yeah, I think I'm going to object to the former question.
What's
Yeah,
your objection?
all we heard was, did you see her? I don't think there's enough context for her to make that statement. This is what they were talking about. If that's the question that was asked, I just actually go back a little bit further and play the exact question and answer.
I'm sure, Ms. Review, you have the full interview.
I do, Judge, but it's 3 hours long.
I don't need to hear the full interview, but if she's going to answer from the simple question, did you see her? The answer is no, that all this other information applies. I'd at least like to hear that. That's all I'm saying.
Judge, I would say that this entire interview is admitted. If the court wants to review that, I mean, I can go back a little further. It just might take 1 second. And this will be playing from just a couple of seconds back at 35:58.
It's turned up to the max, Carly. It's just that with the interrogation video, you won't really. It's too distorted to make out what they're saying. The closed caption can't even capture what they're saying. So I do apologize.
I'm not telling you, I'm asking, did you see her?
They are just, what they're asking him is about the whereabouts in his diet last of, when they all those details from January is what they're going over. It sounds like what they're going over.
Judge, I would just say for context, the officer can talk about who they are talking about in general.
Just ask the question.
Who are you guys who are you and Mr. Butts and Sergeant Sullivan talking about in this interview?
Messiah Harris.
Okay. And if there's someone else that you're talking about, do you mention them by name?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, overruled.
And then going to continue with clip 2.
She went to the Western January, so if you know, like, or when was the last time you saw her before that, right? Right, when did she tell that was 2 days before? 2 days before, right? So if I say, you were at the house, because you're the house,
And playing clip 3.
he said something like he was on time. Okay, so he had permission for a correction, he sent us his stuff, and he said, hey, this is where I was. And he had it in my back line. Yeah, but he had talked about my day.
Welcome, man.
The
Everett.
And he mentioned you were there, and he mentioned I was there. But I didn't know, that's why I'm asking, I'm not telling you. He mentioned what he's saying, I'm not saying it, right? But,
And playing clip 4.
Was there a little girl, you know, or a younger lady with you? You were by yourself? Did he drive over also? What did he do? Oh, okay, no, I'm just wondering, it was like his, oh, okay.
And clip 5.
Alright, so then, like, after you dropped off and all that stuff, did you go out or did you stay at home that night? No.
And clip 6.
She texted you on the phone. But they said she didn't have a phone, it was a phone. So she texted you from a phone number, or from an app, or from an app, she was texting directly to your number, it was a phone number. Couldn't come in on the phone, like you said, I didn't, technology stuff, where it was coming in a phone number. Alright, okay. I will get a call from the number. Okay, same number? Yes. Okay, did you lock in that server? Okay. So he.
And playing clip 7.
And that's your phone and that's her number, she's texting you from, right? She's texting this,
I'm gonna pause at 7 seconds. What is it that you are showing Mr. Buss at this time?
We had a printed out copy of the text now messages.
And would those be the ones from people 16 to the 231 number?
Yes.
I'm continuing from 7 seconds.
and then it's sent, that means that she sent it, and it's received, that means that he replied, something that you, she had a copy. So this is from a text now app. So like I said, I don't know where that is, but I'm on the phone. Yeah, that's very text. Yeah, so we convert to a phone number. Okay, so.
And in clip 8.
That's what I explained to them. But this is so weird when I hear it, like from her, like, saying, okay, you had seen this message, sorry, you was leaving, I got somebody to understand what that meant. But she's leaving the message. I gotta understand what that meant. I was going to say that, and so I said, okay, okay, I'll meet you, and I'll be in his house, I'll get that, so I'll be with this, you know, I'm here, so we'll pay them maybe that day or so. Okay. Or I'll pay them. The next day or how much would you do it?
And clip 9.
But, I mean, she seems stronger than she is before she was. Did she look fat too? She didn't look bigger, but she went and showed me, but she wear baggy clothes. You know, something different, like tasting, rounder. No, you just saw her. I mean, when you see somebody every day, you don't recognize the change. When you see somebody and you don't see them for a month, you're going to notice. You never heard about her being pregnant or anything like that? That's she said something. But I was like, she's like, I don't see what's your friend. I was like, she's not going to get here. Because this is pregnant. I was like, very well, me too. And I said, okay. And I went and said, I was like, she didn't know I was like this.
And clip 10.
So. Can you go back and play that one more time?
Yes. Replaying clip 9.
But I mean, she seems stronger than she is before she went back to you. She didn't look bigger, but she went and showed me, but she wear baggy clothes. You don't see anything different, like tasting, rounder. No, you just saw her. I mean, when you see somebody every day, you don't recognize the change. When you see somebody and you don't see them for a month, you're going to
You up here
notice.
grinning and
you know, you gotta worry about being pregnant or anything like that. Like, so that's, sister or something. But I was like, but, I don't see, what's okay. It was like, she might be getting, it was pregnant or something. And I was like, girl, I need to tell you, I like that. And I need to say, $2 is
Proceeding to clip 10.
So, even though it's deleted, right, this is all from the same app. And I want to make it clear though, I read through them and I see a lot of them where she's kind of an initiator on a lot of things. And I think she's young and she's an initiator. And I also think there's history, you guys have a relationship with each other. Right? You know, when I say we're coming to a full member, what I'm trying to say to you is stay on the same path, okay? Because there's you're hurting, so you are hurting, and with all these people coming forward, your daughter coming forward is hurting you, yes? Don't separate, stay on the path with me because your children that are out there are hurting because they're seeing all this stuff, right? Don't let this be the next thing that they're going to see. And this is, we can go over this together, and if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Right? So this starts here in March. 2023. And this is where she identifies who she is. Okay? And this number here, it's all your number. And it's all your number throughout all the pages. Okay? And over here is the column that says whether the person deleted the message or not. But when we talk about the nerves, once you put something out there on the internet, it's there forever. And it's on a device, and it's in your email, and it's on your account. It's on jarvisgoogle.com. And everything that you search is on there. All this stuff is leading to this. And I think that there has to be a way to break it down. And I'm trying to get you to stay with this break this pattern. Okay? Because this pattern has been going since when was not marked. And it may have started before that. But I think you've got a lot of heavy on you. There's a lot of heavy right here that you're holding in. And it's here. Okay. Can you call man yourself? These are going to be different conversations, right? She's leaving the man's number. Very clear that this is her. She has sent all these messages, and then you finally reply. I call her. And I see she's hitting you up again, and then you reply, and it goes back and forth, right? So here I can kind of see she's like, I just need somebody to talk to. So I think she's kind of reaching out to you.
Oh, not a closed caption is working. I don't understand what
So here's some more sent messages. She's tired of people telling me that they love me, and then the next minute she's crying. She's calling for people traps and they treat her like shit. You're the only person I really trust. She asks you, do you think I'm ugly? Right? You reply, no. She says, thank you. And you ask her, what are you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, she asked you, what are you doing? Then you reply, stop messing with people and just be mine. That's not all context. Alright, so I'm gonna mark that down. This wasn't meant like that. The title. Okay, so then I see there's like a bunch of these calls and different things. I see there's a pattern here again. She's constantly, where are you? Where are you? Are you coming getting or what, what's going on? Yes or no, can you make, right? Right, so, here's the second picture. Do you remember what this picture is?
I'm gonna pause it because now it's acting up. It's first it was working, now it's not. We can't really understand what they're saying in this interrogation interview, and that's the remainder of this day. So I think I'm gonna end it right here, only because the remaining portion we really can't understand, and there's no more testimony after this part. So the final day picks up tomorrow, 10 a.m. I appreciate everybody for sticking in with me. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. You all have a great day. Have a good Thursday. See y'all tomorrow, same time.